I mean, not the best song to start us off with, but we didn't have much because the movie didn't give us much. So
I think the song fits the movie.
Without burying the lead, let's do that. But welcome everybody to a brand new episode of Granny's Peach Tea. We are at episode 38. Jason, go.
38. Look, I had nothing. Man, I dropped the ball today. I had nothing. 38, man. We're getting up there. Jeez, we're nearing middle age in this podcast.
Yeah, we're cruising all along. But yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate the support. With me, as always, is my compadre Jason. What's going on?
What's going on? Nice to be here. Good to be back talking some, Supergirl and Batwoman, and looking forward to talking about CW stuff.
Yeah, and the Swiss Army knife, as I referred to many times, of Pop Culture Pros, Tim Tabala. Oh, there he is.
I'm still doing the guns. This is number 17, baby. 17 right now.
The streak lives.
The streak lives. No, I'm happy to be here to discuss Baywatch Nights of all things.
I can't believe I actually got you to watch this show with me.
Dude, I might have to watch one more just to see what you see, but yeah.
I mean, look, all right, I'm gonna defend myself right here. This was a boring episode. This was not like. So this is what I'm gonna do.
You like this Coldplay song? Should I just let it keep going while you're talking about it?
Please stop.
Yeah, this is. Oh,
I'm starting to bleed out my ears.
All right, well, let me shut down the music part of it. If you recognize it, this is Till Kingdom Come from the Amazing Spider-Man soundtrack. Yes, I'm going to refer to it, Jason. You're going to hear me call it that tonight because I'm got to be a little professional here. We are talking about it. Some people like this shit, so let's just go with it. But
some people like this shit.
The backhanded professionalism.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us. If you're joining us on the Facebook stream, if you're joining us on the YouTube channel, on Twitter, on Instagram, or you found us on a podcast, the audio-only versions, thank you for joining us. Now, we're going to kick it off as we often do, in which I know why Tim is here. Tim's here for some unhassling the Hoff, some Baywatch Nights action.
All right, so before I give it over to Tim to probably hassle the Hoff and give me more penance to make up, I want to point out that this was not one of the better episodes. This was not a fun episode. I was even bored by this episode. There was not much going on. And what I'm going to do next time, Tim, is I'm going to text you when I've got a good episode you should join me on, and that's the next one you're going to do. And if you're not in on that one, then I concede defeat.
That's fair. All fair. And let me just tell you something right now. I had no idea that 70s soul icon Lou Rawls had a reoccurring role on this show. Because let me tell you something. When Lou Rawls popped up, immediately I was like, "You'll never find." I'm like, look at Lou. And then I go to IMDb. Lou Rawls has a very established acting career.
It's
in
insane,
the past
right?
30 years. I was like, look at all this shit that Lou Rawls has done. I was like, you know what? That was worth it right there to watch Lou Rawls. And we'll get into it why he was there, because I think that's hysterical too.
Yeah.
What happened? You lost us? Are you there?
All right. I've frozen, haven't I?
Damn it.
Like Victor. What's going on?
I think we lost him. He's frozen.
It could be. Well, Tim, you're going to have to take over talking about some Baywatch Nights. You can tell us what you thought of the episode.
Oh, no, he has to take the lead on that. Well, we could discuss something else real quick.
All right, I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
You're back.
He's back.
Yeah.
He's there.
All right. Okay, good. All right. So Lou Rawls being a part of this thing is one of the reasons I went, what the hell is going on in this show? And I want to make it clear, Lou Rawls is in the main cast. He's in like half the episodes. It's bizarre. But so Tim, give us your notes on. I want to hear your thoughts on this episode of Baywatch Nights.
Well, I thought you were gonna go. You got to go your usual go through the episode thing, and I'll just pop in with mine. I literally only have two notes, and they're both towards the middle of the end of the episode.
Okay, so there's really not much going on in this episode. We pretty much have a weird brother-sister relationship, which I swear is incestual, and they murder the sister's rich husband in this very convoluted way that makes it look like the lifeguard is inept for some reason, they think this is the way to do it, where they murder him and put him in a part of the boat that if you go in there before it sinks, you don't see him, but after it sinks, he's risen to the top. It's very strange.
Very odd.
Secondly, the next thing is the whole thing revolves around one of the lifeguards trying to clear his name because they're trying to set him up as being inept, and so Mitch takes the case. That's it. There's this other side plot about a woman who's used to be mobbed up, and she's getting a hitman out, and her boyfriend thinks it's on him, and the whole thing is it's actually for his wife.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
And Lou Rawls and Garner, who's the third guy's name I always forget, they pretend to be hitmen. That's what I got. That's this episode. There's not much going on.
Well, you got more.
I didn't watch this.
Yeah, no, it was quite bizarre. It was the acting is. I mean, the guy who thought he was going to get whacked, that guy should go back to acting school. I'm sure by now, 30 years later, he has done nothing. That guy was terrible. But yeah, he thought his wife was going to whack him, so he got Mitch is doing double duty. He's trying to clear his friend, the lifeguard, and he was about to pose as a hitman.
Yeah,
to get the woman to admit on tape that she's going to have him killed.
Because they decide to do this weird cross thing where like Mitch and Garner and Angie Harmon switch cases midway through. Like, I don't know why.
I'm pretty sure that's not how it works up for detective agencies.
I don't think so. So, but I am going to say this: David Hasselhoff, enigmatic and charismatic, and as wonderful as always. I am not hassling the Hoff here. Ed, you got to give me that. The Hoff was great.
The Hoff is always great. I mean, all jokes aside, he's entertaining. I always find him entertaining, one way or the other.
It's just the you know what I'm saying though, because it's like supposed to be Baywatch nights. Most of this show was during the day. I'm like, so when is he lifeguarding? It's supposed to be Baywatch nights where he does his night job. This whole show was during the daytime. I'm like, so he's not lifeguarding? How come he's not lifeguarding? How come
not a good lifeguard?
I was like, all right, but okay.
Actually, but the name of the club that their office is based out of is called Nights. So I think that's why it's Baywatch Nights.
Okay. By the way, Angie Harmon, not a good actress.
Oh, I didn't notice. She's just so fun to watch.
She's above average, but she's not really like I thought she was like Emmy award-winning type stuff, but no, I don't. I think she's just average. Like, okay.
Seen her in anything?
Jason Sehorn. Ba-dum-bum.
Oh, wow. I was about to say I didn't see that. No, I don't think I've ever watched like anything she's in ever.
I mean, I know of her. This funny thing is, I knew exactly who she was when I put the first episode on, but I couldn't tell you where I knew her from.
No, I know who she is.
An NBC show. What NBC show is she famous for?
Like the Law and Orders or something?
One of those Say Don't Swear, Law and I don't know, one of those goddamn shows.
Did you just say Law and Order? Say Don't Swear.
I don't know, one of those shows.
That was my favorite Law and Order. It ends with Jerry Orbach really being a child with autism looking into a crystal ball or something.
That's
however that show ends.
No, I mean, it was definitely made in the 90s, without a doubt. Without a doubt, it was made in the 90s, the show.
And it was definitely syndicated 90s. Like, it has a feeling to it.
Yeah.
No. Wasn't it on Channel 9?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, right?
It was right after Baywatch.
The UPN at that point.
Or did they air simultaneously?
No, it literally was the show after Baywatch. They
aired them back to back. Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember because I didn't actually watch Baywatch either. I think I saw like one episode and that was about it.
I think I've famously said I've seen 3 episodes. One where he teaches El Gigante, the wrestler, to love. One where, and maybe only 2, and then the other where him and a whole bunch of other hard-bodied men and women pull a car from the ocean and run it up the beach. Those are the only 2 episodes of Baywatch I've ever seen.
Sweet Jesus.
I've seen plenty, but I couldn't remember one single one of them. I was there for Pam Anderson and Nicole Eggert and Yasmin Bleeth. So I don't remember any plots of that show at all, except when the Macho Man was on. About it.
Do you remember the plot of that episode?
No.
Oh, okay, I was about to say, did you remember? I was like, wait a second. Actually, I know every line of that one.
I just remember how bad they were on that show, all of them were, and I was like, oh, this is horrible. Kevin Sullivan and running around the beach threatening people, and Hulk Hogan and Macho Man got to come. It's like, dude, what is up with this show?
Oh
and that led to WCW of all things.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
I do. Yeah, I do remember them mentioning some shit that they were cameos on
Yeah.
Baywatch, but then I was like, in my mind, in my memory, did I mix that up with that Thunder in Paradise show or something? Like, was I just mashing them? I don't know.
Well, also very similar feel as a show. I mean, that's
I'm
also
sure.
a Channel 9 90s show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
definitely.
All right. So I guess we paid our penance for unhassling the Hoff.
Well, wait,
Yeah.
my one note, or my two notes, real quick. My favorite quote was the woman is talking to the hitman on the phone, and he says, "No more talking on the phone. Meet me here at this place." And she goes, "Well, how I know what you look like?" He just says, "You won't." And then the next line, I had to rewind it because I was laughing so hard. No, this is word for word. Whatever you think I look like, I won't. I had to rewind it like 3 times to go. First of all, is that broken English? And I was like, who talks like that? Whatever you think I look like, I won't.
I won't.
I was like, wow, that is fucking writing right there.
That
Is
pretty
writing.
brutal.
And then the last part was the lifeguard. He got hot headed. He ran to that house to try to catch the couple that screwed him over, and their bodyguard henchman, whatever the hell you want to call him.
Yeah. Oh, that ponytail. That guy was awesome. Ponytail guy.
But that guy's like, oh yeah, they're out by the pool. Let's go out there. He decided the best way to kill a lifeguard was to drown him. I'm like, this dude could probably hold his breath for 15 minutes under the water, and you're gonna try to drown him in the pool? That was my two. Those were my two notes. I was like, all right, dude, you're getting a little crazy here. Those are the only notes I had. Right. Jason, I'll give you another episode though.
All right, but I've got to preview this episode. I've been burned now. I got to preview this next episode. I've got to curate it. I got to find the right one.
It's not the time or place, Terzio. It's not the time or place.
No, but we'll say what's up. What's up? Thanks for checking us out tonight.
Thanks for watching.
Yes.
All right. So Tim, is that your cameo?
That's my cameo. That's my number 17. I will try to pop back on for Unamazing. You guys do your CW thing. Like I said, I honestly haven't watched that movie in years, but I will try to interject if I can. If you
remember anything, let us know. Maybe if you don't watching anything.
Or maybe once you guys start talking about it, I'll start having like flashbacks.
Flashbacks.
It'll come popping in, and I'll have like a cold sweat, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, I remember everything." And I'll be able to talk about it. So,
all right. Well, we are going to open up with a trailer reaction, though.
What's the trailer?
Did you watch the trailer?
Morbius?
Yes.
All right, I'll talk about that real quick.
All right, so we'll keep you on for a little bit longer then.
You should talk about that, and I'm going to mute myself real quick because I forgot to watch it. So I'm going to watch it right now.
Go watch
it. Look, my son went to sleep later, and I'm solo parenting this week, so I lost track. Give me however long the trailer is. I'll watch it.
All right. Well, you can watch Jason's face if you're watching us, and you can see his actual trailer reactions like other channels do. But yeah. So we got a brand new trailer for Sony's Morbius when they're expanding their Spider-Man-ish universe, whatever it is, because things are very much up in the air with Spider-Man No Way Home, probably going to be a massive game changer next month. But yeah, so they dropped a new trailer, and personally, it's not a movie I've ever in my life thought I would ever ask for. Like, I want a Morbius solo movie, but I honestly think the trailers look solid. I mean, again, like, divorcing it from like Spider-Man, Tim, is what I'm saying, is like divorcing that part and say, hey, this is a movie about a comic book living vampire guy, and this is what we're getting. I thought it was like halfway decent. It looks cool, and then the movie could completely suck. But I think that in trailer, it got me more excited to see the film. Like, I'm gonna watch the movie.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it raised the excitement level though from before, because when it was announced, I know we talked about this plenty of times, like off camera. We were like, okay, whatever. This looks stupid. Yeah, whatever. But,
all right, it's coming, but all right.
Yeah, okay. We'll be like, all right, we're not doing nothing on Thursday night. We'll check it out, but or Saturday morning. Saturday morning. It depends what the Thursday night football game is. It could be shit. No, but I actually I'm kind of down with this. I'm seeing it. I'm kind of very curious to know what the hell they're going with because there are Easter eggs throughout the damn trailer that they peppered without. So it's obviously in this trailer really solidified the fact that it's in the same universe that Venom is in. That's like obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But what gets me more intrigued though is that there's the Daily Bugle that is clearly there. On the Daily Bugle, there's mentions of Rhino on a headline, and there's a mention of Black Cat on another headline. So you're really like setting the damn thing up for it. But Tim, what did you think of the trailer? Just as a trailer.
No, I actually I like this one a lot better than the first one. I'm not a big Jared Leto guy.
No,
I'm not a fan of his at all. But I thought it looked cool. I really did. I really thought it looked decent, much better than the first one. And I like they showed him a lot more, his face, his vampire, full vampire, and that I thought was really good. I thought that was really, really like the comic. I thought I was like, wow, that's pretty damn close. And like you said, we can't really judge this movie because we don't know what the hell's going on yet. We don't know what universe, where, how, because how is Vulture in it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Adrian Toomes is in it from Homecoming.
Yeah.
But if they're saying this is not the MCU, right?
Like what the hell's going on? Yeah.
What the hell is going on is right.
Yeah, you got the Daily Bugle with the Rhino. Now, is that Andrew Garfield's Rhino? Is that a different Rhino? Is that
a different Rhino?
All right, so I just finished it, and unless this is also tied into a multiverse thing, unless that's what they're getting at, that they're trying to set up a shared Spider-Man like multiverse with the MCU. That's because you're right. I was just watching it, and you see the Spider-Man with the word killer written on it, and you see murderer, and then like Adrian Toomes, and it's like, so the only thing I can think of is that they're trying to do like capitalize on that multiverse, like they did like with Venom, because Venom's going to be in this new Spider-Man movie.
Well, we're assuming that because it only makes sense, yeah.
Well, I mean, with that like post-credit scene from the second Venom movie, I mean, if he's not, then what the hell was that post-credit scene setting up?
Well, I think that's what I think. What I wanted to bring up in a conversation with the three of us here, though, is but if we could check off the Easter eggs that are there. We mentioned the Daily Bugle, Rhino. Tim mentioned too. We don't know which Rhino. Hopefully, it's a different Rhino because we'll say what we got to say about the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but like the Rhino, I think is one thing that's universally like hated by even people that like that movie.
Yeah.
So I would assume that's got to be something different. We haven't seen Felicia Hardy yet. At all, ever. So Black Cat's there. So
and
that's cool.
And I think Black Cat is, I think, an interesting character for Sony to try to do one of these one-offs with. Like, I think, you know what? I was making jokes with you over text before about, you don't want this obscure character like piloting his own movie, but like I think that's better than taking like people like Venom, who you cannot divorce from Spider-Man, and putting them in a movie. Like, Spider-Man ran into Morbius once. Okay, I don't need Spider-Man in this movie for it to work for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that he's not as tied to Spider-Man as Venom is. So as a solo project, we admit that this was Sony doing a cash grab and trying to milk every Marvel property they have, because they own pretty much the Spider-Man, you want to say related properties. This is them going ahead and cash grabbing it, which is fine. But if you're going to give me a cool movie out of it, I'll take it. I think another interesting thing that's in the background, though, that I know some people have uncovered by freeze framing, there's an Oscorp building also in the background at one point that's there. Now, I don't think that automatically means Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man movies, because Oscorp exists. Pretty much the MCU is the only one that hasn't mentioned Oscorp yet.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen sooner or later.
And that's a rumor for that Osborn bought Avengers Tower.
Yeah, that's been a rumor for a long time now. So that's what it could be. But I think this fuels a lot of speculation, though, of what's going to happen with Tom Holland's Spider-Man post No Way Home. We know he has one more movie on his contract. He's going to appear in one more MCU film after that, which we don't know what it is yet. I mean, it could be Multiverse of Madness. Could be most people speculate it's going to be the next Avengers. But there are a lot of people who think that this movie and what happens to it is going to be how they find a way to gracefully bow him out of the MCU, and Sony is going to take over from here and kind of just do their own thing and have them mixed in with Venom, Morbius, Kraven the Hunter, because we know that movie's coming as well. What do you guys actually think is going to happen? Are you on the side of Tom Holland Spider-Man leaving the MCU? Or does he stay the MCU and they say, hey, listen, this is all one big universe, and that's what it is. Like, the Avengers don't have to mention Venom every single time he takes a shit or does anything.
If Kevin Feige can stay involved, then I wouldn't mind him going to his own universe. But I want to have that input from Marvel, from Kevin Feige, from whoever. I don't trust Sony to do it on their own. I just don't.
Yeah.
So, but if Kevin Feige has a say in what happens and he can throw his 2 cents in and say, look, this sucks. This is good. You should do this and that. I'm okay with it. Because you know what? It kind of frees him up to do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
But if he's not involved and it's just Sony, no. Leave him in the MCU. I think he's going to have a great... I want to see him interact with Deadpool so bad. Yeah. I think that's going to be the greatest interactions ever. So, I mean, again, that's another guy who we don't have to figure out how he's going to end up in there. But I'm praying that happens. So if Sony's not shares the love, I'm okay with it. No Kevin Feige? No.
Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I same exact sentiments. Like, I don't at this point, like, if they wanted to make Spider-Man in his own universe and explore, the many facets of the Spider-Verse, there's enough there to do so. I got to see him with the Avengers. I got to see him in the Infinity War saga. I can live with just having him in his own universe with his own villains and doing his own Spider-Man thing. But what Tim said, like, Sony, I don't trust that. I trust Sony as far as this movie will take you that we're about to cover today, which shows you exactly what Sony would do with a character to keep the rights and for a cash grab. And I don't want to see that. I like Spider-Man as a character too much. I like Tom Holland too much. So if it's just going to be setting up the Sony cash grab for them to redestroy for the third time this franchise, because this would be, if they got their hands on it without Marvel's input, I have no doubt they'd maybe churn out a good movie, maybe 2 good movies, but at some point it would just be the Spider-Man's printed money machine and it would break down. So I'm in Tim's corner. If Marvel needs to have some input, and if they don't, then I'd rather have no Spider-Man at all than have Sony controlled Spider-Man, because that is how little faith I have in what they do with the characters.
And real quick, like you said, Tom Holland only has 1 movie left. Maybe he don't want to go to Sony. Maybe he decides either I'm in the MCU or I'm not doing it. He could very well decide that.
Well, so I think the interesting thing, though, about that is, and there's been a lot of stories that have been floating around, because now, there's a lot of interviews happening for No Way Home, and they're starting to pump it up. I think they're just waiting until after Eternals, about a week. It's been out a week or so. Then we're going to get full force Spider-Man No Way Home.
Why haven't we had everything? How did we not get a trailer this week to appear with Eternals tomorrow? How did that not happen? Well, I'm so baffled by that.
Well, I'll say 2 things about that. Number one, we still have tomorrow to happen. Who knows? It could drop tomorrow. Remember, we don't even have a poster for this thing yet. Yeah. Like, there's nothing. There was rumors online that some people were shooting down. I saw on Twitter that it was like, the reason we don't have a trailer yet is this Marvel Studios and Sony not getting on the same page of how to promote this movie. Like, apparently, Marvel Studios does not want to show Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield. Now, again, if you believe that means you believe they're in the film. So there's a lot of, still things we don't know. And some people were shooting that down, saying that's bullshit and stuff like that. I personally think it's because they want Eternals to get their spotlight. Their movie's coming out. They're not a very well-known property. Spider-Man is arguably the most popular, comic book character ever. So they're like, hey, listen, we got a lot of buzz for this film. We'll wait until Eternals passes, and then we're going to go full force Spider-Man No Way Home. That's my belief. That's what I think is going to happen. I just think they want to give Eternals their time to shine, which, from a Marvel Studios perspective, I can kind of understand that, though. Because you don't want people coming out of Eternals raving about the Spider-Man trailer, and meanwhile the movie, they're like, it's all right. But did you see that Spider-Man trailer?
Yeah.
I just think it's a smart business move. And again, this wouldn't have happened if COVID didn't hit and we had all the movies kind of on top of each other now. If they were more spaced out, this wouldn't be a problem. And like you said, Tim, I would totally expect a No Way Home trailer in front of Eternals, but I think because they're a little over a month apart, they kind of got to give them.
I figured it would be yesterday. It would have popped. Usually Tuesdays, don't they drop trailers on Tuesdays usually?
Sometimes Monday mornings at 9.
Yeah, so I figured it'd be that, and then you go see Eternals on tomorrow, and there it is on the big screen for everyone to see. But let me tell you something. This kid who lives in this room behind me is counting the days. Daddy, you know there's 55 days left? You know there's 54 days left? Dad, you see this picture online? I'm like, dude, first of all, I try to tell Jax, don't believe everything you see online. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean shit. But every day he pops out a picture. Is this real? Is this real? So this kid's beyond hyped up. That's what where's the trailer? That's the first thing I did when I walked to the door. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Where's the trailer? The trailer didn't come out yet. What happened to the trailer? I don't know. Call fucking Marvel. I don't know.
It sounds familiar. It sounds like my nephew on the
it sounds like Alex there. Yeah. Let's drop in 2 comments from Alex there. He's chiming in on the conversation. I see the Daily Bugle bus advertisement. Yes, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man spray paint. Yeah, there's that part where Morbius walks past the thing, and it's clearly not Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but that's one we mentioned, spray painted murder on it. So referencing, we've got to assume the other Spider-Men that we know of are not murderers. So you would assume that that's who they're referring to. Yeah. I'm so confused. It's like it's an origin movie plus dealing with actual MCU problems. But see, that's Alex where we're not exactly sure, because that's what we're discussing is this are they saying that the Sony Venomverse, as they refer to it as at times, really an extension of the MCU, or is it just whatever? I mean, it's its own thing, or is he going to be moved? What is going on? Tim, what do you think?
Not just doing something, that's all.
And I think after No Way Home, he should take a break and come back during the next Avengers movie. I don't know, because I don't know when we're getting the next Avengers movie. That really isn't part of Phase 4. They said it would be part of Phase 5, which ironically it would be the 5th Avengers movie. So I mean, that kind of makes sense. And they've said the last movie to wrap up Phase 4 is going to be Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay.
So, plus, there is no Avengers.
Right now, technically, there's not. Although they're just kind of like around.
He probably means the next crossover movie.
But Kevin Feige has said there will be another Avengers movie.
Oh, right.
It's going to be. They're not hiding that. We just don't know who the roster of the Avengers actually is going to be.
Gotcha.
By that time we get to that, because it's up in the air. I don't know where this is going to be, because I can see both arguments being made for this is what they use to logically explain him out of the MCU, and then he ends up in Sony's verse, and then they move on. But the fact that he has one more movie coming, they can't pull him out that quick. He still has to kind of appear.
That's true.
But if it's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and we find out he was in that,
then that's his exit.
That's his exit. Yeah. Or they strike a new deal, and they just keep him moving, and they say this whole thing's an extension of the MCU. So I don't know. And by the way, Tim, an interesting thing I wanted to bring up though about Kevin Feige and Sony though is let's talk about the Sony trust part of this, right? Like, obviously, last couple of weeks we covered Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 and 2, which are still adored to this day. Tim, I think you're on the same page as that, right? Like, they still hold up.
Yeah.
And then obviously the studio interference comes in, destroys Spider-Man 3, and then we talked about last week Spider-Man 4. Sam Raimi walks away because studio's breathing down his neck again to try to keep on ramming stuff in his movie. Their reaction to that is, oh, Raimi's out, so let's reboot, let's go, let's do this, and this is what we ended up with, what we'll talk about tonight and in 2 weeks. But we don't like the Venom movies, but they've made a lot of money. So popularity-wise, they're getting what they want, I guess, in the end. And then a movie we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, was, without to give the whole thing away, we are all fans of it. I think we're pretty big fans of that movie.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a really good movie. Some people will say it's the best Spider-Man movie that we've ever gotten.
Yeah, I've heard that argument. I would have to rewatch it. I could see myself thinking that, but I would have to. We'll talk about that in the rewatch.
Yeah. So I think that's something. Yeah, Sony's been a mixed bag, but they're not on a great streak right now. And Kevin Feige apparently does offer notes on these movies.
Okay,
but they can take their notes and wipe their ass with them, or he can do whatever they want with those notes. They can just throw them out the window. But apparently, he does drop in like information about it or his comments, and then they do what they do with them. But no, not like Spider-Man: Homecoming and Far From Home, and now No Way Home. No, Marvel Studios is literally saying, "Here, we're making it for you. Here's your movie. Enjoy." And that's where we know. Oh yeah, I mean the trust factor is obviously with the MCU. We have to go one or the other.
Well, like you said that though, it's far as and both of you guys said the cash grab. Yeah. You know, when they started and when Spider-Man was a hit, when Civil War, when they first popped over there, well, we're gonna make Venom movies, and we're gonna make Morbius, we're gonna make Craven, we're gonna make this, we're gonna make, you know, it's like, all right, calm down. Like, what you're doing all this stuff? Why? Because it's like a cash thing, and you can almost say it's the same thing as Warner Brothers. Remember, Warner Brothers popped out with, well, I mean, not that it was a bad movie, the Birds of Prey movie. Remember, first it was supposed to be just Poison Ivy and this and that. You know, what are they going to call it? The Gotham Girl. You know,
what they call Gotham City Sirens.
Yeah, that, and then we're coming out with the Trench movie, and we're coming out with this, and it's like, dude, slow down, make a good regular movie first. Then you start good. Then you start going just like, and you know, they didn't start with Guardians of the Galaxy. They started with well-known established characters. They're like, all right, we're having success with this. We're gonna throw these guys you never heard about you, and they were phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it seems like Sony doesn't have that track record to pull that off, especially like you said with. I mean, I'm not knocking people who like Venom, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you like what you want to like, but I mean, we don't like it.
But those people. I'm not saying those people like it's a derogatory term, but they're not the hardcore comic book fans who read the comics in the '80s
and the
'90s and saw the cartoon and all that stuff. Who grew up with that? They're just like, "Oh, Venom's cool."
That's what I was going to say. Like, I think the reason we don't like that movie, because we discussed it, there are things to like about that movie. It's not great, but there were enjoyable moments to those two movies. But I think my biggest problem, and I think the same thing with you guys, is you take a character that is literally part of Spider-Man and you try to use him to set up a non-Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man. You know, it's like, of all the characters, like, literally any other character in the Spider-Man universe would have made more sense than choosing Venom, but Venom has the cachet. Venom has is popular. But as you said, Tim, I think this movie, even though Venom was popular, it wasn't made for the fans. It wasn't made for the people who really like Spider-Man and Venom and understand or appreciate their dynamic. Because I think if you do like that, I don't understand how you could love the Venom movies just simply because it's not there.
Yeah, I mean, I also think there's some fans though that just like. And Tim, and I'll throw this to you though, because you've confessed on our on Empire 161 before that a Star Wars can put out anything, and you essentially you'll critique it, but you'll probably give it the benefit of the doubt. You've admitted that. But I think that's what some fans do with these Venom movies, and I mean, you guys both know how much I love Spider-Man and everything to do with him. But I can't see past some of this crap. I mean, they're just bad films. No matter how you cut it, they're just bad writing. They're terribly written movies. But I think we agreed too is that if they hired better writers that kind of knew what they were talking about, but if you used the same cast and the same mostly everything, you would have a good movie. There was something there to be said.
Well, bringing that up, it's like the prequels, the Disney movies, as they're called.
No.
I won't bash any of them, but I can see people's problems with them. And yes, I can see, especially the last one, it was very rushed. It was very here fans, I'm going to spoon feed you all the shit that you want. Here it comes, open up. And then it was like, well, I got too much shit in my mouth. And you're ruining this movie for me. Yeah. And then, like I even said, I never bashed the movies, but when The Mandalorian came out, I'm like, holy shit. If this is what those movies should have been. Give you that feeling in your gut of like, holy shit, this is Star Wars. This is the feeling I want back. Because that's what Mandalorian did. It gave you that 1977, I'm a 5-year-old on Christmas morning type of feeling in your stomach. The prequels didn't. I mean, The Force Awakens I still love. The other two are just very iffy for me now. And I blame The Mandalorian. So it's not like I listened to people's bullshit and it changed my mind. I just saw how damn good The Mandalorian was. Like, oh my God, if these movies were that good. And I've said it 1,000 times, I don't like the overall story. I don't like what they did to Luke. I don't mind that they killed Han, but I don't like what they did to Luke. I don't like it at all. It pisses me off. So like again with this too, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, Spider-Man's popular. We're gonna come out with Venom. You can't come out with Venom. Venom can only exist because of Spider-Man. Well, we're gonna do it anyway. Oh fuck, here we go. Well, that's the kind of thing. Like you said, if they come out with Kraven the Hunter, makes more sense.
Yeah, it's not as tied.
Right. Even though his first issue was to kill Spider-Man, you could still pick anything for him to kill, and it would have made more sense. Any one of those kind of villains. Venom, though, he is born because of Spider-Man, so that's why there's the trust factor. And just like I said with WB, we're going to throw out a movie about the trench. Nobody wants to see a movie about the fucking trench when you're making bad. No. What I'm saying, Jason,
I was for it, but only because I tend to like the really weirdo stuff the DCEU tries. And so I was like, hey, you know what? I'll give it a shot.
well, what I mean is when you're not making decent, I know you guys like the DC movies. In my opinion, when you're not making decent enough movies based on your most popular characters, don't come out with a trench movie.
I agree.
I agree. That's all I'm saying. You're going to come out with Wonder Woman 84 and okay, let's make a movie about the trench. No.
Well, you know what's funny though, Tim? That I don't know if you saw the story that dropped past week, and I think it was the past week. Where they mentioned James Wan said that apparently the trench was gonna be like a secret Black Manta movie.
Yeah,
I was like, Manta. Okay. Maybe you should have led with that, and I would have been a bit more excited.
Yeah, maybe not make it a secret, and you actually would have gotten to make your movie.
Yeah, and Black Manta doing what though?
Whatever it is, honestly, though, because I think that when we talked about Aquaman on this show, our biggest thing was that we just felt he was underutilized and was kind of just given random shit. So if we picked up where he was like getting, he was coming back and he was doing it because after them, they lead you to believe he's going to rehabilitate himself and get his suit back and he's going to continue on his quest. Maybe he had to go to the trench for some shit or, the guys are on the ocean doing whatever the fuck he's doing. But if it's that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't got a story for you right here, but you give me Black Manta, battling some of those, crazy James Wan trench monsters.
But then you make
I thought it was a trench movie about a bunch of people not even speaking. That's it. And I was like, wait, what is this?
But then you take Black Manta and you make him a hero, only in Aquaman 2 where he's going to be a villain again. So it's like...
No, not a hero. I'm just saying maybe he has to go there to, get something. To kill Aquaman. That was his game plan. I don't know, dude. I didn't give it a lot of thought. My point was, if you give me following up on Black Manta,
DC didn't give it a lot of thought either. That's my whole point.
Contrary to what some fans of ours on our page might believe, I am not employed by DC or Marvel. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a sticker. It's not my work badge.
Yeah, I think I've crapped on enough DC movies to have my name in the clear on that one because I like some of them and I hate some of them.
No, I think I've been fair with it. I think that I don't sit there and tell you the whole DCU is great, but I think some of them are better than some. They're not the worst thing in the world. It's just that whenever you hear people, you mention DC to somebody now, someone hasn't really read comics or anything. They just roll their eyes like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, no, I mean, the shit we talk about on this show that we're going to talk about coming up, there's some good CW stuff, and their HBO Max stuff is outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
It really is.
Doom Patrol this week was, I'm excited to talk about it. It was really good.
Yeah. Well, all right. I guess let's get to that stuff though. But all right, Tim. Thanks for checking us out. We'll see if you want to.
I'll take a little break and I'll see if I can pop back in for the unamazing.
Watch a highlight reel on YouTube if you want.
The lizard with the trench coat, comics accurate lizard wants to say goodbye before you leave.
All I'm saying is lab coat for life.
Lab coat for life. That's right. For life. That's a t-shirt.
All right, guys. I'll check you out.
All right, later. So, all right, well, let's get on to it. Let's discuss, because I know it's airing tonight. So, yes, we are a little behind, but it's all right.
Well, here's the thing. That's going to happen because no matter what night we go on, the CW will continue to do this shell game of moving their stuff around. Because the whole reason we landed on Wednesday night in the first place, we were originally Tuesday. I don't know if the audience knows this, but the whole reason we landed here was because CW went, we're going to put Flash on Tuesday. And now they're like, well, we're going to put Legends on Wednesday. And it's like, guys, can you take our show into consideration when you put your shows together?
Can you please? I mean, next time I'm in a meeting at work, I'm going to discuss this. Oh, wait, sorry.
Nicely done.
Yeah, all right. So, Jason, talk us through season 7, episode 3, which was their 100th episode.
It was their 100th episode, which is why we get a lot of the old legends back. We get Brandon Ruth is back. I'm always happy to see that guy. He's great. I miss him on the show a lot, actually. His wife comes back, who was in the his wife in the show and in real life, who becomes the fairy godmother, which I love. They even get Captain Cold back, and it's always I love that actor. He's really good. I started watching this show the first season because I loved that actor so much, and I just liked his Captain Cold, and so I'm always happy to see him back. And let's see. Rip Hunter's back. We're getting the gang back together. Except you notice who is not there.
Hawkgirl?
Well, no, actually, to be honest, I forgot Hawkeye and Hawkgirl were in the show. But they make it a point to say that Mitch Rory is passed out on the floor, and you see an extra that looks like him on the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get that you couldn't get him back because technically he just left. But you didn't have to bring attention to it. That was kind of a weird choice.
Yeah, that was weird.
But I think it was a really fun episode. The whole thing is Gideon, who's now a human being because of the spell that Astra puts on, pretty much is trying to reconcile her programming versus her humanity now. And they go into her head using magic, Spooner and Astra, and they see a British version of Jefferson, who was half a Firestorm.
Which is great, by the way, because that's actually his regular voice.
Oh, is that just his voice? That's why he was doing that voice?
Yeah, he got to actually speak like himself, which I thought was interesting. Because I'm so amazed by when some of these actors, you just hear them speak with a British accent. Wait, what?
It's like the dude from Get Out, right? I had the same thing when I saw him on Black Mirror. I'm like, what?
Yeah, when I saw Christian Bale, I heard him in an interview the first time. It blew me away because I'm like, I saw him in American Psycho, which we both love. And then I think it was probably promoting Batman Begins. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, well, also, Christian Bale has that crazy thing where if he's promoting a movie while he's promoting it, he stays in the accent of the character. I love that man, but he's nuts.
Yeah, he is. He really gets into it.
All right, so pretty much, I don't want to linger too much because it's a fun episode, but there's not a whole lot going on. It's pretty much Gideon has to go through her memories to relearn all of the things she learned from the legends and sort of become her own person and be an actual person and not a machine. Victor Garber's back, the other half of Firestorm. I love that guy. That guy was in the original Sweeney Todd on Broadway.
Wasn't it Lost also?
He was on not Lost. He was on Alias.
Alias, okay, that's what
he was. Jennifer Garner's dad, and I've seen way too many episodes of that show. But I think that guy's top notch. I always love when he's there singing show tunes with Gideon. Gideon does a lot of karaoke and a lot of singing in this episode.
Yeah,
which I'm for it.
I want to know if you caught the other cameo.
Which one? What did I miss one?
During the fight scene with the Lance, when because they have to pretty much fight some of the legends throughout it. Yeah, and they fight the Lances, which I'll refer to them as the two Captain Lances. There's a fight there, and Bebo. There's a Bebo that's there, which we haven't seen Bebo in a while.
We haven't seen Bebo in a while. Yeah, and I did catch that. I have its own separate note. Just one word, Bebo.
Okay.
We learned that Rip Hunter actually officially fucks over each and every one of the legends at some point because the reason Gideon's having this issue is because he reprogrammed Gideon to take care of the legends and prioritize the legends over the time stream, which was against what her initial programming was and what was causing all of this. So she has this internal struggle. She gets better. She's part of the team now. She's going to go steal a pie for the gals. another important thing we see is that Bishop is back, but it's not the evil Bishop that they killed with the Ziggurats. It's the Bishop they stole from the time stream to help them. And he apparently made a copy of Gideon's AI and has it. And so this obviously is where the second Gideon who strands them in the 1920s comes in. Like, we now see kind of where this is. And I like that they're bringing in that Bishop because I like that actor. I thought that character was pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. And I think this version of the character in the timeline is different enough to have a lot of fun with. So I'm glad they brought him back. So overall, I enjoyed this episode. Still on board with it.
There was one thing before we move on I wanted to mention too, was there was a little bit of retconning that happened.
Oh,
so when remember there's that scene where they go back to one of her memories that's like a holiday. They decide to celebrate all the holidays together because they're usually so busy and things like that. So they kind of mix up Halloween and 4th of July and Christmas and all of that. Gary goes and makes a comment about advice about eating.
Yes,
people.
That was weird.
And I was like, oh, wait a second. So you're retconning it that it was kind of already secretly in there, wink, wink, before we knew about it. It seems like that didn't rub you the right way.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I think I was very open, which last season, that I thought them just making Gary an alien out of nowhere kind of was ridiculous. Like, even for this show, it was kind of far-fetched. Whatever, I rolled with it. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I what I'm willing to bet is the show read a lot of reviews that said that. I can't imagine the only person who had that thought. And they went, you know what? While we're doing this, let's just throw this in there and pretend that we did actually have this planned. And, you know, I mean, whatever. It was a moment. It passed. It wasn't the best moment. But again, this show is just so much fun that I have a lot of good nature toward it, so I can forgive a lot.
Yeah, I can understand. I was fine with it. I thought it was. I actually laughed a little bit when I saw that because I was like, all right, whatever, I get it.
Well, that actor is funny too. So when that actor goes like, oh no, I mean, for Gingerbread Man, you eat the arms first for Gingerbread Man. Like, just because he's funny, that worked, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it works. So yeah, I kind of felt it was pretty much like a lot of shows when they get to like 100th episode or 200th episode, they're like, all right, we'll kind of like simplify the story for the episode and we'll just make it about cameos. And I get it. You're celebrating the show. It was cool. I enjoyed it for what it was.
I was there for it.
All right. So another show that we're kind of digging. I've been really excited to talk about this with you. Has been Batwoman season 3, episode 3, and it's funny that I slipped saying Batman because this season has been all about really kind of like reinforcing Gotham, and we're seeing a lot of Batman villains pop up. And this week is kind of reference. I was actually very happy that they didn't go with a new Mr. Freeze instead.
Me too.
There was like, we dealt with a lot of Mr. Freeze stuff, but it wasn't like the same thing over and over and over again. So I thought that was a smart choice on their part. But the key things is we find out that Nora Freeze is alive and that she kind of like got unfrozen and aged out. And age is like, time is catching up to her pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
So seems like it would make sense.
Which I find interesting. I don't know if the science is there, but I thought it was an interesting twist because you expect Nora to look young.
Yeah.
And this Nora is not. And it's a very different Nora Freeze than I think we've ever gotten. So I thought it was an interesting choice that worked for them.
Yeah, I thought it worked for me. And then Nora pretty much, I thought one of her best scenes was, and I don't know why I enjoyed it so much. So there's a scene where Nora is pretty much kind of like taken hostage by Alice briefly, and she's got like a knife to her throat, right? And she's telling Mary, like, you need to take these nanobots out of me, this tracking device, or I'm going to kill her. And she was like, do it.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, tells Alice, just do it. Kill me. Do you want me to kill you? And she's like, yeah, you know something? Whatever. It is what it is. Time's catching up. Why get in the way of it? Like, whatever. And she just, like, frustratedly lets her go. It's like, you're the worst, like, you're the worst ever. Like, why am I doing this? How are you going to be a hostage for this? And I thought it was good.
That was an incredibly fun moment. And I have to say, I found Alice very fun in this episode. Like,
yes.
like I have a note I love that Alice is just hanging out in the Batcave, and then I had to put no, seriously, I'm not being sarcastic. Like,
No, she is.
I kind of loved that. Like, no, but I really like that because she's just hanging out, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, even they're annoyed with her, and she's just like being her in the Batcave, and it doesn't make much sense they would bring her to the Batcave, but it's still fun. I mean, like, my big problem with last season was it wasn't fun, and they had nothing for these characters to do that made sense with each other. And they've rectified those two problems. So I was down for this episode. I thought it was a lot of fun.
So I also think my WTF moment though of this episode, and we're waiting to see this, was during the car chase. All right, so there's car. All right, so there's a car chase that happens. So pretty much there's a group of people that we don't really find out a lot about that wants to get, Mr. Freeze's like technology and everything like that. They kind of want it. They want to know how it works, everything to do with it, and that's why they're after Nora and stuff like that. And Nora's sister was helping her out, and maybe they're trying to like cure her again and put her back on ice. But they end up trapping Batwoman at one point, and they're gonna freeze her.
Oh yeah.
So that happens, and then she's on a comms talking to Batwing, pretty much saying, listen, I'm on my way. You can't fall asleep, because if you fall asleep, you're gonna die. Like hypothermia is gonna set it, and that's it. So then Sophie gets on, and she's talking to her and stuff like that. And I was like, then it turns to some like flirting that kind of happens, and that's not the WTF moment, because I was like, really? But then she gets out, gets in the, with Batwing, they get into the Batmobile, which I still hate this Batmobile.
Oh, it's terrible. It's not the worst, I can say. No.
Because Batman Forever and Batman and Robin still got that kind of crap going on. Yeah. It's better than that, but still. So they're chasing down these villains on a bridge where the villains go and drop a bomb back, blow up part of the bridge. There's his face missing. Okay. Batwing flies out, takes the freeze stuff, freezes it, so they have room to go over, which I'm like, all right, I'm on board. But then they kind of do this whole thing and get past it, and the villains are right there. The villains waited for them to do all of this to catch them? What the fuck, man?
Okay, fair enough. You know what? I saw that.
That killed me.
I saw that, but didn't clock that. That is, I actually thought you were going to have like several WTF moments there.
Oh, I want to hear yours,
and I was going to defend them, but that one, you're right, that's indefensible. What are they doing?
Down the way, they just waited for them to do this whole production, which was cool. But like, you don't need to. They're not going to wait for them. They're like, yeah, all right, let's go.
Maybe that was it. Maybe the driver went, "Well, I got to see how this turns out." You know?
Maybe it was really cool. I thought, but
my WTF moment comes from when we find out what happened to Nora Freeze when she was released. She got confused because of the lapse in years and the fact that she started to rapidly age. So they did to her what they did to everyone in Gotham, and they threw her in Arkham Asylum, where she escaped and is currently living as like on the lam from the law because she woke up and was confused.
Yeah, Angie called that out immediately and was like, what? And I was like, wait, well, that's what they do to a lot of people in Gotham, unfortunately.
I mean, it's like, you know what it is? It's like the 1950s. Like, you're a colored person. Well, go into the insane asylum. You're a homosexual. Well, go to the insane asylum. You're a woman with a thought in your head. Go to the insane asylum. Like, that's Gotham. For like, oh, you're confused? Arkham Asylum. You robbed a bank? Arkham Asylum. You don't know how to tie your shoe? Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
It was
that was a weird choice.
And it made me think, did Alice know her? Alice spent time in Arkham Asylum. That's never addressed. Like she was in Arkham Asylum with half of these freaking Batman villains. Like, that was never addressed.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty weird. In the episode, though, there's also Ryan meets her brother. She has like an adult brother and somebody who kind of like proposes this like business team up, which doesn't really get followed up on too much, besides her just kind of saying no and that's it. I feel like there's going to be more to that. Yeah,
I'm sure they're setting up for something, and I like that guy. I think he's charming.
Yeah, no, he was cool. But then we find out, Alice's delusions are followed up with again, because we find she had the delusions where her father was writing to her and stuff like that. So she's dealing with that kind of crap. Mary routes out Luke.
Yep.
Which I was like, okay, so now, pretty much telling Ryan and everyone else that he's having like PTSD from being shot and everything like that. And that's why the suit's kind of like sort of acting up, but it turns out he shut off the failsafe. But we kind of, and then is the Ryan and Sophie thing they're setting up. They're pushing because they kind of get flirty at 2 points in this episode.
Yeah, they're definitely pushing the romance between those two.
So let me.
They have a moment at the end, right? Like,
yeah. Well, twice. One time it was there, and then Luke is even like, "Oh, are you flirting with her?" And she's like,
right.
"No," like playing it off, and you obviously can tell that it was kind of like a thing. But meanwhile, they just hated each other last season. It's like, okay, but also you're setting up Luke and Mary as well. So is the whole Bat team going to be dating each other like in a matter of next week or two?
Let's just say they're going to be called the Bat family for legal reasons. Was that sleazy enough? I was trying to get real.
No, that was good. That was good. I like that. You did nail that. But I guess the crazy thing that happens at the end of this episode, though, is that Nora Freeze and her sister are chatting on a bench talking, right? And all of a sudden, Mary's kind of like observing and listening in and eavesdropping. Then a vine shows up, pulls her by her ankle, and like zips her away into the bushes. That was crazy. I didn't see that one coming.
I did not either. And I hope that this confirms what we said we wanted, was that, it's going to be like Batman villain 2.0s, but it's going to be the real Poison Ivy. Like, that's where I'm hoping this is going.
Yeah, and that could be happening now when we're
recording. I mean,
who knows? Who knows? We will discuss next week. But I agree with you. I hope it's not another 2.0. Give us the original, the OG Poison Ivy of the CW verse, and I think that would be a smart way to go with it.
Yeah, because you give us one Batman villain, and she's like a secondary like character. She's she's not top tier like the Joker. I think she's probably second tier. So I think, not too big, but not too obscure. It's like, we don't need the real Mad Hatter. You can give me the Mad Hatter 2.0, but someone like Poison Ivy, nah, we need the real thing.
Yeah, I agree. Even though, just not to get into it too much, but on my as I took a flight to Kansas City this past weekend, going there, I watched Batman Long Halloween Part 1 and watched Part 2 on the way back. And did you watch both of those?
I did. They're great.
That was a really, really good adaptation.
It was very, very close to the comic.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And we get Poison Ivy, which is what I brought it up and Mad Hatter as well. So, everyone and their mother is in Long Halloween. Yeah. Spoiler alert if you haven't read it or watched it yet.
Yeah, or even seen the cover, which has everyone and their mother on it.
Exactly. It's kind of crazy. Like, ironically, the Riddler, though, not in it.
I know, right? No Riddler.
Yeah, it's kind of a random choice.
No love for the Riddler.
So, all right, let's keep it moving on. Stargirl season 2 finale, which was last night. So let's throw up the spoilers since if you haven't seen Stargirl season 2 finale and you're interested, you can cut off now and come back, when you get a second. So this whole episode is pretty much, JSA versus Eclipso, JSA plus, because they pull out everybody
in the kitchen sink.
It is crazy, and I get it. Like, Eclipso has been this powerful. So there's this crazy fight with the JSA and Cindy versus Eclipso that kind of like kicks off the episode. Then Eclipso ends up putting together like these like mirror matches for the team to fight. Like, Pat fights another version of Pat, and Cindy fights like a younger version of herself, which was creepy. And then, Stargirl is trying to pretty much shoot with the cosmic staff little creepy Eclipso for most of it. And then Beth watches another Beth antagonize her family, her parents, for fighting and stuff like that, and pretty much like does that with him, and Beth and Dr. McNider are watching that happen. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in there. But the crazier thing, though, is that later on when we catch up with Our Man, when he shows up for the fight, he doesn't have his hour, stuff. He can't put it together. And he brings Solomon Grundy into the fight. Solomon Grundy gets a fucking hole put through him by Eclipso and kills him.
Yes, he does. That was unexpected.
Yeah, I did not see that one coming.
I was happy. I was excited to see Solomon Grundy in the fight. We've been talking about how I felt it was a smart move to turn him into kind of like a good guy this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, to see him put down like that, and they tease at the end he's not really dead. The Shade, who's back to life, which the fact that the Shade who's come back to life is saying this, he shows up at the end and he goes, don't worry, our man, that's not Ben Parker in that grave, and he walks away, and we all know what that means. No, he doesn't say that, but he does say like he'll come back.
Yeah, kind of gives him in the right place at the right time and stuff like that. It'll be fine. And I thought it was actually pretty sad that he's getting buried with like the apple tree.
Yeah, I did too.
That was sad.
I did too. It was a nice touch for the writers on that one.
Yeah. So basically, we find out Eclipso's plan is to get Stargirl to threaten him and to embrace her darkness, and she eventually does. She says she hates him and stuff like that, and he kind of like takes her over. And that's where we get that like part of her face and her eyes are red and all this other stuff, and she becomes like evil Stargirl for a little while. And then the Shade shows up, pretty much saying, "Oh yeah, I'm not dead."
I mean, yeah, I have some issues with this episode, which we'll get into. Yeah. But that moment was my biggest issue because that was a cop out. Like they like McNider goes, "Well, what was that business in the theater with death, with the dying?" And the Shade just goes, "Oh, Dr. McNider, you've always known I have a flair for the dramatics." Like, no, that's not an answer about how you came back to life.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I have some, like, I'll wait till you're finished, but I have some issues with this episode that I want to kind of go through because I loved this season. I've championed this season. And whereas I don't think this was a bad finale, I think it is not, it's not befitting the rest of the season. It's not they didn't stick the landing, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I thought, well, whatever, we'll get to some of the points here, but, yeah, so pretty much the Shade goes out and helps Beth save her parents and after faking his own death. But then the Cavalry shows up. Fucking Starman.
That was cool.
Shows up so he was just walking the entire season and kind of just shows up.
Yeah.
During the battle at the end.
The fact that he shows up when he shows up is part of my problem. I do think, however, it's cool that he's part of that final battle. Like,
yes, agreed.
My issue isn't that he's there. My issue is that there was not enough with him to justify what the hell he's been doing this whole time.
Yeah, which I'm hoping they talk about because we kind of find out that he's going to be around next season.
Yeah,
training Courtney, so that's cool.
In the basement.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's going to be training it. He's not there to collect the staff and all of that, but he kind of plays a huge part in getting Courtney to embrace the light and stuff like that and to like get Eclipso. I think Eclipso took her over or something like that, so Eclipso kind of like frees her. He's a big part of that, and he acknowledges, if it worked, if the cosmic staff worked for you, then the light is in there. It's strong. It's never wrong like that. So, kind of go for it. Sportsmaster and his wife show up because they were apparently broken out of prison again, and they're like, "All right, we're here."
I loved again. It was just, our daughter broke us out. How? All right, whatever. I like that they're there. It doesn't really make sense how they're there. And it even doubly doesn't make sense at the end when we find out that they buy the house next door and they're now neighbors. It's like, I thought you broke out of prison. How the hell did you get a mortgage for that house?
That is true. There's a lot of answering that this show's going to have to do next season for what the hell happened.
Yeah. To be honest, I think my biggest problem with this episode, it should have been 2 seasons. It should have been 2 episodes. Like, I think they try to do so much in this one episode, and it's at the expense of the nuanced setup that I've come to expect from this show. Like, at some point in this episode, things just happen.
Yeah.
And I never liked that. Like, and this show is better than that. Like, if you remember at the beginning of the season, we talked about certain things that happened and we were like, yeah, no, they'll get back to it. I have trust in them. So it's like for the fact that, okay, Starman just shows up at the right time, as do the Crocs. Well, if this were a two-parter, you could have given me some foreshadow on both of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm with you.
And it just seems like so much. And then the Shade coming back, like if it were a two-parter, you could actually have a dramatic moment where he returns and a reason. And look, it's easy. His powers come from the Shadow Realm. I died, but it looked like I died, but my body took me back to the Shadow Realm to heal, and here I am. Boom, a fucking line, guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had fun with the episode overall, but yeah, this is the second half of this episode where things just start happening. They just kind of rushed it, and that was it. And again, I think we're on the same page, though. We like what happened, we just don't like how we got there.
That's exactly it. Like, if they took more time, if there was one more episode setting some of this up, and they didn't require everything to happen in this episode. I think if everything happened the way it did in this episode, but there was more connections in the previous, I think it would have been better. So that's it. It's not how we go. It's not where we got. It's how we got there.
So one of the things I did enjoy, though, and I called it in my head as I was watching the episode. I don't know if you did. So they get Thunderbolt to join the fight and stuff like that, and the kid's like, I wish Eclipso was turned to toast.
My favorite part of the episode.
Yeah, he's like, all right. But knowing Thunderbolt, he's going to take it literally. But they're like all firing at him. Green Lantern's daughter's like, bang, her thing, cosmic stab. Everyone's firing everything, and it eventually kills him. But then after it's all done, I was like, wait, tell me it happened? And then I see the little speck, and it was burnt toast.
That was hysterical.
That is what they turned him into. And I love the line where it's like, well, what do we do with him? Like, well, we better lock him up. Lock up that piece of toast.
Lock up that piece of toast.
That I thought was great. That kind of saved a lot of the what the hell is going on right now at that point.
I thought that was a lot of fun. And actually, when he wishes that, I'm thinking, oh God, is that going to screw them over? Is it? And then of course you see everyone firing, and I'm like, all right, but they got to turn this guy into toast. And like when they did, I was like, yes, the toast.
That was great. So then we get a lot of aftermath, which is a lot of the end of the episode. Starman pretty much says he's going to hang out, and he's kind of like hanging out in their basement. Says, hey, Courtney, I'm not here to take the staff back, but I'm here to train you to show what it can really do. So we're going to get a lot of Joe McHale next season, which is cool. I like him.
I do too. He's a big like knife collector.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he's like best friends with Conan O'Brien. I listen to a lot of podcasts because I can't sleep at night a lot of times. So I listen to podcasts, play video games, and I listened to one called Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. And the best episode, and it's him just like talking to celebrities. It's Conan O'Brien. Yeah. But my favorite episode is him and Joel McHale because they're literally friends who like hang out all the time. And so it's like, and they're just telling stories. And like, so Conan's like, hey, remember that time you brought that big knife to my house as a gift? And he's like, yeah, I was bringing knives. I collect them, and I'm listening. Like, it's like I'm listening into their friendship and their friendly conversation. I'm like, I'm learning a lot about these two gentlemen. And one of the things that Joel McHale is an insane knife collector.
I had absolutely no idea. That's awesome. So then we find out Dr. McNider, apparently his wife was pregnant, and then Beth finds her, tracks her down, and they find that he has a son, so he's off to go ahead and do that. And he officially passes the torch on to Beth, because she's even like, well, what if the world needs, Dr. Midnight again? Well, and he says, well, they have one. Pretty much saying, I seal of approval, you're Dr. Midnight now.
It's a great moment, actually, because their friendship their relationship is my favorite in this season, because Beth's parents, even now, they're insanely doting on her. Now that they're back from wherever the Shade rescued them from, Beth still breaks my heart because they're still terrible parents. And Dr. McNider was like a really nice father figure for her, and I was hoping he'd stick around and nurture her. But it was nice that he passed the torch. It was a nice moment.
But I do think that they brought back the original Starman and Dr. McNider because they're going to use them again.
Of course.
They could have just said that they were dead otherwise.
Of course, yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Green Lantern or something, because they're going to explore the Green Lantern's daughter. So I'm sure there's more of that coming.
Yeah, and they also have to explain more explanation of how is Starman not dead.
Yeah,
because even Pat mentions that.
Yeah,
so we will probably get that next season. Icicle's grandparents start telling their son as he finishes his mural of his father. and they both have like these ice abilities, and they kind of just vaguely, show to that. Find out the Shade decides he's staying,
which like that he's staying because I like that character, I like that actor, but like, why are you still alive?
Yeah,
like it bothers me. I couldn't get over it because it was just. Again, look, if Legends tried to pull that off, I'd be like, oh, you incorrigible Legends. All right, don't tell me how Mick Rory came back to life. You keep your secrets. But this isn't Legends. This is more serious. The tone is very different. And it's kind of glaring to me. So I guess I can't get over it. But glad the Shade's going to be around next season.
Yeah, agreed. We mentioned that Rick, buries Grundy, and then we'll probably see him come back as they allude to it. Also, we get Cindy talking to Yolanda, who was back as Wildcat, and pretty much tells her that she wants a second chance and kind of wants to join the JSA.
Which I kind of liked because it really reinforces what we've been saying as a theme of this season, is that there's a difference between bad and evil. And I think Cindy kind of proves that she might be bad, but she's not evil. I mean, she took the stand and put her life on the line against Eclipso. Whatever her reason, she did.
Yeah.
So I think it's, if they're setting up, and I think obviously that's what they're setting up, like having her maybe in the JSL and or what a JSA or whatever they're going to be doing with her. I like the idea that they're going to be playing with her alignment, right? Can she be trusted? Is she good? Is she bad? Is she evil? So I think that's set up for something interesting next season. And
Cindy also had a moment earlier in the episode where she's kind of like reconfiguring herself after getting all beat up and everything like that. And then Yolanda's looking at her like, gross, and she just looks at us like, whatever. Like, I'm just putting myself back together. I actually the character's grown on me. I actually think Cindy's a good character.
Me too. I've always thought she was a good character, but
so did I. But I mean, I think this season they've upped it more.
I agree. I think they gave her a lot more to do in the first. She spent half of that first season in a cage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but the fact that they gave her so much to do, I think that actress really brings a lot to the role. And again, there is a duality to that character. She plays it well. So
yeah, really good actress. Then we find out, as you mentioned, the Crocs move next door because they find out that there's a house that is open next to Courtney and Pat and everything. So they're living next door, and then they hit you with Wham! Stargirl, Frenemies, because that'll be the title for season 3, and that'll be in 2022. And that's they just didn't mention when it's going to air.
Yeah.
And then we get a little bit of a post-credit scene.
Weird. I don't know where this is going. Do you recognize this from the comic?
From what I saw around, it was Mr. Bones.
Oh, I don't even know that.
And they're going to set him up for like the next villain.
All right. I mean, he looks creepy enough. He looks like the Red Skull, but his skull is white. I mean,
yeah. So I guess they're setting up the big bad for season 3 is my guess. And titling it Frenemies makes me believe that we're going to see a lot of them all working together now or trying to coexist.
Yeah, I think they said I had read that they had signed the actors who played the Crocs on for a bigger role in the 3rd season, and I think it just makes sense if you remember back to that episode where they break out of prison and they're like hanging out with Pat. Like that was so much fun and so interesting to watch that. How could you not want to explore that throughout a season?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm for it. I just want some explanation of some things.
Same here. How'd they get that mortgage? Because there's a guy who a couple of years ago, just recently, and you too, right? Just recently got a mortgage. That shit ain't easy.
No, it's not. Not at all.
And if you just bust out of prison, they're not giving you a mortgage. Because guess what? They're looking for reasons to not loan you money.
Exactly. Oh boy. So all right, well that wraps up the season for Stargirl. But we got Supergirl, who has, as we found out, has one more week left because next week is going to be a 2-hour season finale.
Yeah. It's okay. I'm okay. I can see the show go.
All right. Well, I guess you're pretty much tell us how you really feel.
You know what it is. I've been very disappointed by this season. It could have done better, and this episode isn't bad, but so many things come out of nowhere. And that's the thing. It's not a bad episode, especially for what I've seen this season. We get a lot of good John Cryer. It's kind of confirmed that he is in fact in love with Nixley.
Do you think so?
I don't know. I mean, I still have my doubts because he's Lex Luthor.
I'm holding on hope.
But so the whole thing is this. So Rojas, who's the head of Catco, all of a sudden, who has not been really a character at all the whole season for the most part, except for you go do this, I'm your boss. She's like a female J. Jonah Jameson, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
But so she decides out of nowhere that she's going to, I don't even know how she got it. I don't remember if the episode told us this, but she gets Lex Luthor's personal like journals where he wrote about his love and wrote poetry for Nixley.
Oh, they said, what's his face leaked it to them.
No, but he didn't, right? Like or did he? And she published it without his knowledge because he was pissed off about that.
She published it without the knowledge of there, but it was set up by Otis. Otis supposedly gave them.
Okay.
Yeah, Otis gave it to him, but we find out at the end of the episode that Lex was fine with it. He was
Lex is the one who set the Otis. Okay, so again, like to be honest, I also was watching my son with Supergirl because I that was the last thing I watched before I put him to sleep. So if I miss some stuff, I will, I'll give it to it. But I do feel that like that her character just comes out of nowhere. She's like, "No, I'm going to do this," and it's like, and she publishes it, and she has this whole fight with the reporter who is from India. Like I didn't realize that because he doesn't look like he's from India and he doesn't sound like it. So they never mentioned it before, but it became a mention in this. So I thought it was interesting to point out. And so he gets mad and then he winds up getting really in tight with the Super Friends. He's decides that they're having David Bowie and Kelly are having their sort of like wedding party, and he says that he'll babysit Esme so they can all have a good time.
It's like a co-bachelorette party.
That's it. Yeah, I knew it was something wedding related.
Yeah.
And then so we find out that again this kind of comes out of nowhere, but Brainy's got to go back to the future and save the world. So yeah, he's going to be gone next episode. Back to the Future, guys. I can't believe this message is coming only an episode before the end of the season.
They got to tie up loose ends, though. Yeah. Apparently, as the show wraps up next week.
I know, but like, is Brainy being here a loose end? Like, he came here, he switched places with their tech guy like halfway through the series, and he's been here for years. And I just rewatched this show. I don't remember it ever being a condition that at some point he had to go back and join the Brainy Collective. So this kind of just seemed to come out of nowhere for me.
I think they just needed a way to write him out because, as we saw with the promotions for Armageddon for the Flash, that'll be in 2 weeks. We know they're not going to end a lot of these characters like permanently.
Yeah.
But I guess some of them are going to go away, and they'll just need a way to explain why they're not around anymore.
I guess. Which is fine. I just wish that this would have been set up more than an episode before. Like, why wasn't this something that we found out in one of the many episodes we were in the Phantom Zone? That this is something that's coming. Like, make that a through line. Make Brainy... Because I literally have a note, like, did I miss something? Why are there...
Yeah. Well, they finally confirmed the misunderstanding that we had. You're breaking up a lot. I think we got a little technical difficulties here. All right. Might want to sign out and sign back in. Jason is frozen. All right. Well, yeah, so we're pretty much, confirming that finally that Brainy and Dreamer, I mean, I guess they have a relationship, something that we weren't really sure of because they were kind of very vague about it. Glad to see that that's, finally there because he's pretty much heartbroken most of the episode. Let's get this. Whoops, sorry about that. Yeah, so that's pretty much something that we were wondering and confused about for most of the season. So that's one thing that is... Oh, there we go.
Sorry, technical difficulties. Maybe we should put Patreon together to get me better internet service.
We should.
But sorry about that. So where did we miss off? We were talking about the two brainies, right?
Yeah, well, I was telling you though that telling the audience as well, that they pretty much finally confirmed that Brainy and Dreamer have a relationship because he's heartbroken about having to leave her and everything like that. That was made extremely, extremely clear in this episode, at least.
It was, and I'm glad that they decided to take the second to last episode to clarify that relationship. After, in the last season, kind of making it look like they break up because Brainy's too much, and then not addressing it for an entire season, it's good to know that they're tying up loose ends in the second to last episode.
That's it. That's what the episode revolves around a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What else?
I thought the ending was solid.
All right, I'm going to give you that. I'm looking at my notes. Because you know why the ending was solid? Because it ends on a fucking Lex note. That's why.
Yes.
And it's an awesome Lex note where he's got the reporter at gunpoint because they need Esme for something. We don't know what. We'll find out.
That's what I called. Also, I did call this.
You did call that. You absolutely called that. And they find Esme, and he's got, Lex has got the reporter at gunpoint. He's like, oh, all right, then. Well, I guess I'm done. And he walks out, and he goes back, and he goes, oh, wait, I almost forgot something. And he shoots him. And I knew he was going to do that, but it took nothing away from how cool it was to watch John Cryer do that. And that's when he tells him that he set that whole thing up. And that's kind of the episode. You find out something important that's going to play out, I'm sure, next week. Because I think you're right. Like, they've confirmed that Lex is in love with her, but this is Lex Luthor. And if he put that, if his machinations were to leak that, he's got a plan.
That's where I started wondering. I'm like, something. Yeah. He needs her, because they emphasize in this episode that Lex needs her to fall in love with him, or to believe him and to trust him in order to get that love totem to manifest itself, and a trust totem as well. So I still think that he did this on purpose. I think we're gonna find out that he killed her in the future.
Oh, okay. That would save this. Well, I don't know.
And he wants he wants all the totems. I forgot what the heck the thing is called again. When they're all collected, not the Infinity Gauntlet, but whatever it is.
Yeah. I forget what it's called too.
Whatever. Their quote unquote Infinity Gauntlet, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's what I think his end game is. That he wants that, and then that's what I'm hoping for, because we get a lot of cool Lex shit in this episode, but I don't like him as this like love sick puppy.
Yeah, same here.
That is kind of willing to play second fiddle to Nixley.
Same here. Yeah.
No, that's not Lex Luthor.
No, it's not. And I guess I was thrown because of the trust totem, right? The trust totem does confirm that he's telling the truth, but
he's such a good liar. He can destroy a fucking lie detector test in 2 seconds.
And also, like, it said like the poetry was real. Like, I if I really wanted to, I would watch that scene again to look at the wording to figure out like how Lex is cheating it. But I'm not watching the episode again.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I did watch this episode like an hour before we went on tonight. I enjoyed it. Okay, I actually I will admit, I enjoyed this episode much more than I have for a lot of these this season. I'm not saying it was outstanding or anything, but I wasn't bored really at any moment, and it kept me entertained. And I just thought it was a very good ending. And I was like, all right, I'm excited for a finale now.
I guess, as I said, it's not that this was a bad episode. This is actually one of the better episodes for the season. This is your second to last episode, and you're still setting things up. And at this point, we should be knocking things down, not setting. You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point, I should be more confident where we're going.
And we get to see some John Jones kicking ass, by the way, which we very rarely get to get.
Very rarely get to see, yeah. And I think I've professed my love for that actor and that character so many times on the show.
Yeah. So, all right, well, we got so with Stargirl wrapped up, I guess that's what it's going to be. Next Tuesday night is the 2-hour series finale of Supergirl. So we'll see how it wraps up. All right, Jason. Well, Doom Patrol Season 3, Episode 8. We'll wrap up our shows for the week with this one, and then it's movie time.
All right, I'll take my time with this then. So this is a trippy episode, even for Doom Patrol standards.
Yes.
And what the eternal flagellation is everyone's conscious mind is replaced with the unconscious mind from the memory, the most embarrassing or worst memory or most painful memory you have. And the only way out of it is for you to make different decisions when you're in the unconscious memory. So Vic has a very, very poignant memory where he's a kid in a toy store and he's going through toys a bit roughly, but he's a kid. And he's like kind of looking and like tossing them to the side, and what he's looking for is a black superhero, and there are none. And the white manager comes over and starts treating him like a perp, pretty much. And his dad comes over and smooths it over, and his father pretty much says, you can't do that. You don't have the luxury of having a moment where you're angry and throwing toys. And he says, you want a black superhero here? And he gives him like a Sergeant Tony doll or something like that, Lieutenant Tony doll. It's an army doll. Yeah. And so Vic becomes the doll.
Yeah, because he's the superhero.
Because he's the superhero. And so I'm going to do it like character by character. I think it's just easier. Yeah. So Vic's whole thing is that and this is so poignant. This was the day he stopped being a child and became a soldier. And the day where he stopped allowing himself to be imperfect at all and sort of do anything except what he needed to do. And so that's kind of what he's getting, like he's trying to work through. Crazy Jane becomes a puppet along with all of the other alters, and the real Kay, I think her name is the actress. She's the person. And they have Underground Avenue, and it's sort of like a children's show with puppets. And I thought that was really fun. And it's again such a weird choice. But Jane's whole thing is, and this is interesting, I really want to see where this is going. Throughout the course of this episode, Kay gets rid of all of the alters.
Yeah.
And she becomes the main. Like, Jane isn't in control, or we don't even know where she is at this point. So that was like sort of what she had to get over, was because you see this in this episode and in the other episodes, the alters, whose job is to protect the girl, are sort of trying to hold her back, because if the girl gets better, they go away and they know it.
Yeah.
So
become self-aware.
Exactly. So what Jane had to go through was sort of cleansing the alters, which I thought was interesting. Cliff meets Robot Man. I'm so happy to see Brendan Fraser in the flesh.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What the fuck? It's such a great line. Just these two looking at each other, screaming "what the fuck" at each other. And so Cliff's memory, which is awful, is the memory of when he left his baby daughter in his car for a day to go to a strip joint. And he has this wonderful monologue. I mean, we forget that Brendan Fraser can act. You know what I mean?
No, he really can.
But he creates this great monologue about how he grew up poor and just a nobody, like trailer park trash. And then he learned he was racing, and it was his ticket out, and all of a sudden he was important, and he felt like a god. And then he had a baby, and he didn't want this baby. He didn't want his life to change. And he went to the car, and he reveals, and I looked at my daughter and I felt nothing. And it's such a moment where you go, wow, like I thought that his thing was going to be, no, I've got to be a better father. I've got to be a better person. And his realization is he felt nothing. So that was kind of his thing to go through. And he's got one of the most saddest endings. Because if you remember, when he was zapped out, he was using his daughter's credit card, which he stole, to talk to porno models on whatever chat service he's on.
Yeah, clicking on clickbait, right, and pop-ups.
And his daughter catches him, and she's like, "This isn't working." And he just goes, "Yeah, you're right." And it was so cold. It was like, wow. So again, a lot going on in this episode. And then Larry's worst memory is the day he got married, because he tries to make his mother understand that this isn't right without outing himself, and she's not hearing it. And it's made clear he gets married because she pushes him into it. Yeah. And he realizes this is the day I started lying about myself to everyone. This is the day I stopped being who I am. So like there's some really good emotional,
a lot of deep stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not even going into what we learn about Rita, who I love the fact that like stole the time machine, went back, did what she had to do, which I think that's the only moment I think that could have been explained better. Like she went to push herself back in to make sure that the events happened the way they were supposed to. And that's fine, but like that was such a big reveal that she was pushing herself back in the first place. I thought there'd be a better lead up, but a lot going on in this episode, so it's not a big deal. But like she's the one who brings on the eternal flagellation, and she's like trying to get to Laura, who we find out is with the Brotherhood of Evil. That's how she gets the time machine.
She's Madame Rouge.
She's Madame Rouge, yeah. So it's like I thought that was super cool too, because I knew that there was something, as my kids would say,
of Evil,
like sus about her, and we knew there was something with the Brotherhood of Evil. But the fact that she gets the time machine specifically from the Brotherhood of Evil and becomes evil herself, and they're the moments those actresses have together are electric. They have such great like protagonist antagonist chemistry. Like when Madame Rouge goes and says goodbye to Rita for the last time before she time travels, and she has that moment like, it only felt fitting to say goodbye to you because you were actually the closest thing I ever had to a friend. And then Rita like you know, you were always evil, you did this, and this. And it's like she nails her psychologically, and Laura's like, I wouldn't admit this to anyone else, but you're right. Like there was just some wonderful character stuff there.
Yeah. Agreed.
Let's see if there's anything else I need to hit on, because I don't want to go too long, but that sounds like a bad comic book. General Tony, best line of the episode, because that was him describing the plot of the episode they were in. Yeah, I mean that's really pretty much it. Oh, and then like the way they get out is like one by one they kind of break what they're supposed to do and go through a very trippy sequence of getting to each other's like memories and rescuing each other, which I thought was kind of fun and interesting. And yeah, the whole metaphor is in my opinion, the whole metaphor was confronting and overcoming past trauma. It's the whole metaphor. When you're in therapy to confront trauma, the whole thing you got to do is go back to the memories and sort of relive them so you can have the appropriate reaction. And that's literally what the eternal flagellation is. You go back to your worst memory until you have the appropriate reaction to sort of release you from it. So again, even the psychological things this episode was doing was goddamn brilliant. And then at the end, real quick, Cliff is caught by his daughter. Kay's gotten rid of the altars. Larry goes back for his parasite and realizes that he's going to be a dad to it, which kind of cool. I don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
And Cyborg has the skin graft. He wakes up, his father's there, and he's a human being. So, and then Rita gets her face off with Laura, which we'll see how that goes in the next episode. But yeah, I mean, great episode. I love this. It was one of my favorites.
It was one of the best of the season, and like you said, for the reasons that it was so trippy, but yet it dealt with like so much real shit to unpack on it.
Yeah.
Which is what this show does well. I mean, we joke around about how out there and crazy and bonkers this show is every episode, which it is. But this episode was possibly the strongest of the season.
Agreed. And possibly the most bonkers, but in such a smart way. Again, it's crazy until you realize it's a metaphor for confronting trauma, and then it's not so crazy because you kind of see what they're doing. And the fact that they're able to take comic book characters outside of Cyborg I've never heard of and make me care so much about them, it's insane. Like it's such like the writing is amazing.
Yeah. So if you're not on Doom Patrol yet, you really need to get on that because it's good stuff. It's on HBO Max. Drops every Thursday. Check it out for sure. All right. Well, we're up to our movie of the week. So we've been pretty much going ahead and going through the live action Spider-Verse is what we're calling it, because we're doing a countdown leading up to Spider-Man No Way Home. Yes, and we've got it lined up perfectly. I mean, we're taking a quick break next week from the rewatch because we have Eternals, so that's the movie we'll be discussing next week. But this week, we rewatched Andrew Garfield's and Mark Webb's The Amazing Spider-Man from 2012. We talked about it earlier when we were talking about Morbius. So we kind of buried the lead a little bit with it. But this was, again, Sony's response to losing Sam Raimi to do Spider-Man 4. And they were like, all right, let's fast track a reboot. And this is that reboot that we were referring to. Got a lot of balls calling it the Amazing Spider-Man, by the way. I just want to say that. They got some serious co-Jones calling it the Amazing Spider-Man.
Can I just tell you exactly how I see this movie? And I texted you and I told you that I feel this movie, its existence, in my opinion, is pointless. Like, I know people are fans of this, and that's fine. I'm not crapping on you, and you have your fandom, you enjoy it. I'm just saying for me. But here's why. Watching this movie, it's very clear they sat down, watched the first Raimi film, charted all the important beats, and go, watch us do it better. And then they didn't. Because this movie hits so many of those same beats from that Raimi film, which came out, less than a decade before this? Or maybe a little over a decade. Like, it's not a long time.
It was 2002. So it was 10 years. Exactly.
Okay, so it's exactly a decade, and I'm pretty much watching the same beat for beat movie, but a darker and edgier Peter Parker and the Lizard, who we'll get to that. That wasn't the Lizard. I don't know what the hell that was, but that was not my good friend here, Dr. Kurt Connors, because there was no lab coat. There was no purple pants. Anyway,
and it wasn't an actual lizard,
and it was and he was actually King Koopa from the Mario movie. Yep. But yeah, it really does look like they sat down, watched Raimi's movie, tried to emulate it beat for beat and make it edgier and cooler, and it just doesn't play. It just doesn't for me.
No, this movie, I mean, listen, they made the thing because they didn't want the rights to revert back to Marvel Studios, who was already underway building the MCU at that point. And they knew that they were in some shit. So they had to go ahead and pump out a movie and fast track it. And it shows. I'm sorry. I mean, I understand they were listen, if you're going to reboot Spider-Man 10 years after you just had another series start, and 5 years after Spider-Man 3, you do need to make things different. And and that's what we'll get to when we talk about Spider-Man Homecoming. That movie makes some choices, just like this one did, because you do have to differentiate yourself from what came before you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think it works at all. Like, I mean, let's talk about it the way we've talked about the other 3 Spider-Man movies. This Peter Parker is an asshole.
Oh, he's an absolute
he's an unlikable prick.
I actually really can't stand the characterization of this Peter Parker. He actually doesn't learn the lesson from Uncle Ben's death that Peter Parker is supposed to learn, because what he does after Uncle Ben is killed is goes on like this. Well, first he goes, "Oh, a luchador mask. I'm Spider-Man now."
Well, he was like getting. Well, hold on. Let me bring back Tim, because Tim is back into this.
Nice.
I guess he kind of he bumped his head like Harry and maybe forgot about something.
Well, I was flipping. I was like, let me see if they're talking about it, because I saw you watch Doom Patrol, and I was like, oh. Then all of a sudden I saw it. I said, Amazing Spider-Man. So let me go run this nonsense with you guys.
All right. So Jason, you were saying so.
Yeah. So like, what was I? What was the? What were
he was just saying Peter doesn't learn the lesson. Even though they try to reword it differently. Great power comes with great power comes great responsibility.
Like, so he watches Uncle get killed. And it's not because like someone stiffed him on like pay like in the comic. It's because the guy wouldn't let him go for 2 cents. Like, and then the guy robs him and throws Peter Parker the chocolate milk or whatever it is he was trying to buy. They didn't have 2 cents for. And then like, oh, and by the way, Uncle Ben is around here, and the guy's running, and hey, stop him! And of course, elderly old Charlie Sheen Uncle Ben's gonna rough it up with this guy, and this guy didn't even like. This guy was like, he robbed them, but like. He was a thief, not a murderer. Like, there was nothing in his demeanor that made me think he was an indiscriminate killer. He just guns down Uncle Ben. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. And then afterward, he is just a prick up until the Lizard inexplicably goes crazy on a bridge and he saves a kid and he goes, hey, maybe I can be a good guy. But that's like an hour and a half into the movie, way after Uncle Ben's death.
And that's when he refers to himself as Spider-Man for the first time on a scene with the kid on a bridge. I think a huge problem I have with that part of it with Peter is that this Peter Parker is on hell-bent on getting revenge for Uncle Ben's killer. He literally goes around New York hunting anyone down who fits the profile because he asks the police for the report and the drawing, the police rendering. So that's his kind of thing. And even Captain Stacy calls him out on it at one point. But then he just gives up on it, and it's never mentioned again. He never catches the guy, and just WCW, poof, it's gone. It never happens, and it goes unresolved.
Yeah.
Well,
Really?
he became Spider-Man then. So it's like, well, I guess I can't hunt him down now that I'm Spider-Man. I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of it. It doesn't though.
But I mean, like, they emphasize it, and then it just never gets resolved.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's why I said off air, this movie is like two movies stitched together. There's the Peter Parker origin stuff, and all of that completely disappears and becomes a separate movie once we get to that bridge scene.
And then they were kind of setting up this whole, like, secret mystery to unravel around his parents.
I hated that, and
Which gets followed up on in the second one,
right?
But for this movie, it's another one that kind of gets dropped and pushed to the side after the first hour of the film.
Well, that's the way he knows Dr. Connors, which again is stupid because in the comic, Peter is friends with Dr. Connors. Like, it's heartbreaking that when he has to fight him because that is his friend and mentor. But here it's just, that's a guy who worked with your dad.
Yeah. Not great.
I'm not a fan of that dude either. What's his name? The guy who played the Lizard? Reese. Reese.
I don't know his name.
Reese Fiennes, I believe his name is pronounced.
Not a fan.
I liked him in Replacements, and maybe in a couple of other things. Like in Replacements, you remember from the Replacements?
Yeah, no, I mean just in this movie, I didn't like him as Doc Connors or.
Yeah,
I don't know. It didn't seem legit to me.
To get back to the Peter Parker being an asshole and not a hero thing,
yeah.
I caught this time I watched it. I didn't catch it the one time I saw it before, but he does not go after the Lizard because he wants to save the city. When he finds out Dr. Connor is the Lizard, he runs right to the police station. He tells Dennis Leary all about it. Dennis Leary doesn't believe him, but still checks into it. Nothing ever comes of that. Yeah. And then he's flitting about, and he sees a newspaper that says, money for proof of the Lizard. And he goes, and he suits up and chases the Lizard down to get a picture of him. It's like...
Well, he lures him. He sets up a trap for him to lure him in there.
He does. But the whole thing is he's not doing that to save the city or make people safe or whatever for heroic reasons. He's doing it because he wants to make some money. And again, like, Peter Parker would capitalize on his heroic efforts to make some money, but that wasn't his motivation in going into becoming a hero. And that is not made clear in that scene of this movie.
So a lot of my notes about for this movie are really revolving around Peter, and this is where this movie, besides a lot of shit that just doesn't make any sense. So Peter starts off, by the way, getting into Oscorp by stealing some fucking other student's internship, and see the other kid getting dragged out of there. Douche. Yeah. Total douche.
Not a good guy. And
no, not a good guy. Then gets bit by the spider and then fights a bunch of people on the train, accident fighting.
Right.
He's discovering his power, so he happens to do these things, and he knocks them out.
And that's the equivalent of him fighting Flash in the original. It's like, dude, don't.
Yeah.
You went too far. Like, you went too far with the fight. It could have just been a regular fight. No, you have to. All the spectacular stuff has to happen. It's like, come on.
And talk about over the top. Like, he's asleep in the train, and they start putting like empty beer bottles on his head. It's like, what are you doing? This doesn't. I live in New York. A lot of crazy stuff happens on the subway. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's just it's really crazy. And then there's the scene with Flash. That's a basketball scene where he gets a basketball that happens to roll away. Number one, why are these people? There's a basketball game going on. We went to school at one point. Why are these people just having this whole painting display right on the side of the court?
I don't
Guess what? A basketball was bound to come over there at some point. I'm sorry. It was going to happen. And there's no gym class where they're going to allow that to happen either. It was just stupid. And then he has this weird thing where he gets the ball. He keeps trying to make Flash grab it over and over and over again. And then does this like weird dunk and breaks the backboard like Shaq.
Weird. And no one questions that. No one,
exactly. Nobody's like point. You have to question it. And no one does it. That's why it's so bad.
And later on, he's sitting on the side of a football game because apparently that's where he hangs out. The man loves like high school sports, but he's sitting on the side like flirting with Gwen Stacy with some of the worst dialogue. I really like kissing you. It's a lot of fun to kiss you. And then like he catches the football and absently throws it back, and it dents the goalpost.
Nobody questions it either.
And no one questions that?
No, the head coach, the coach of the football team wasn't signing this guy up.
Get out of here. You imagine like, if I did that in high school, Tim Connor would be like, all right, motherfucker, you are on the team. I don't care what you do, what you say. You want to graduate, you're on the team.
Absolutely. What about Stalker Parker? Just following Gwen Stacy around?
No,
just taking pictures of her? Has pictures of her on his like wallpaper on his computer,
insane.
Which
he's got pictures of you. He's got pictures of you on your computer. So that was the next quote I was going for. It's like,
dude, this guy is like really, really unlikable. Peter Parker,
so unlikable, and he just looks smarmy. And I'm not saying Andrew Garfield. I'm saying this incarnation. I actually don't know Andrew Garfield from anything else, so I can't really say. But
he was really good in Social Network.
Oh, who is he in that?
He's not Mark. No, he's not Mark Zuckerberg.
He's like Saffron.
Yeah. He's a guy that got screwed kind of out of Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, I liked him in that. Okay, so it's not him. It's what they're doing with him in this, and he's just. You're right. He's so smarmy. He's such a douche. Like he keeps coming in through Gwen Stacy's window. Like he's literally stalking her. And the whole skateboard thing, I don't need an extreme edgy Peter Parker. Like, give me the nerd. Give me the put-upon guy, you know?
Yeah, the only nerdy thing we get about this Peter Parker is that he's really intelligent, and that's about it. Otherwise, he's just a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really an asshole. Like, look, Flash should kick the shit, and this Flash is way over the top for no good reason at all until Uncle Ben dies. But, like, I wouldn't mind seeing Flash kick the shit out of this Peter Parker at all.
Same here. But I was going to say Flash actually is a nicer character. Yeah, Flash has a dickish moment in that one scene in basketball. But then after Uncle Ben dies, he's like, yo, bro, you okay? And like Peter like attacks him. And then there's even a moment later where he's like, you know, like at the very end where he's like,
he has a Spider-Man t-shirt on. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. And they're obviously okay with each other. So like, look, I think Peter Parker is more of an asshole than the Flash in this movie.
Yeah, no, he absolutely is. And you mentioned it before. Another Peter Parker thing I wanted to talk to before we get to him being Spider-Man. He goes to Gwen Stacy's house because he's invited over for dinner, right? Chooses to go through the window, right? She questions it briefly. He's like, oh, yeah, fire escape. And that's the end of that. So the captain in the NYPD sees this guy just in his daughter's room. No one questions anything about this. I didn't see him come to the front fucking door.
I was expecting that because he's like, oh, Peter Parker. Huh? And I was expecting him to do a Dennis Leary thing. He's like, I hope you like Branzino. It's like,
yeah, they're really stressing that Branzino.
They were stressing the fucking brand. And then the next scene, it's like, oh, he doesn't know how to eat the Branzino. It's like, we got 20 minutes about Branzino talk in this movie.
There's more Branzino than there is Aunt May because she really has nothing to do in this movie.
Oh, nothing. And she is the stupidest of all time because at the end, he comes in, the shit beat out of him. And she's with like, with the eggs. Like, oh, the eggs. It's like, no.
Yes.
No. I don't know.
Not great.
Again, it really felt like they went, you know what? They hired some nobodies in that first one for Aunt May and Uncle Ben. We're going to hire Sally Field and then whatever, Charlie Sheen's dad. We're edgy. You know, it's like, but no, I like Sally Field. I like Charlie Sheen for the most part, but they're not doing anything in this movie.
I did not like this Aunt May at all. This is my least favorite Aunt May.
She's not great. And again, it's not against Sally Field. It's just... She literally has nothing to do in this movie.
Nothing.
Meanwhile, we have Rosemary Harris, who was like, will always give the inspirational speech to Peter to get him over the top and do all this other stuff and she's an idiot.
Yeah.
Now.
Or like, or hitting Dr. Octopus with her old lady umbrella.
Yeah,
like,
she was badass.
She gets in the shit. Look, the Green Goblin literally comes into her room at night and he's like, "Pray to me, old woman." Like she goes through some shit in those movies.
Finish it. So then I guess that the mask and stuff is a transition to Spider-Man. So whatever. He gets the mask idea from the luchador stuff, which I actually didn't hate. I was like, okay, and I thought it was a nod to the wrestling thing that we don't get this time. Yeah, he just happens to fall through a roof and land in a fucking wrestling ring.
That's my problem with it. Like, I don't mind that it's luchador inspired, but it has nothing to do with
like it. Yeah.
It kind of does, but it has nothing to do with Spider-Man. Like, he doesn't envision the costume because of it's a spider or whatever. Like, it's the luchador thing, it's cool. Whereas that doesn't make sense to me. Whereas the original origin does. It's like, oh shit, I gotta wrestle, but I can't let them see who I am. I got bit by a spider, right? I'm just throwing this crappy spider costume. Like that progression makes sense. This is I fall through a roof. Oh. Deus Ex Machina in the form of a luchador mask. I'm Spider-Man now. Like the jump doesn't make sense to me. And why call yourself Spider-Man? Like, why not call yourself like, El Spiderante or give yourself a luchador name? I mean, I don't know, but like, what is the Spider-Man thing if you have no real connection to that?
And he's, by the way, like we mentioned it in the text message. So Peter's father helped on this project with Dr. Connors for these engineered spiders that was going to be like this splicing thing for humans and pretty much almost like set up his son to become Spider-Man. Really?
It's too perfect.
That's what I'm saying. There's too many forced connections in this movie. Like the Dr. Connors is a forced connection also. It's just it's too much. It's like you couldn't just let it go as it was.
Why? Like, here's the thing. Why make him Gwen Stacy's mentor and make Peter Parker someone who's like, a suspect trying to get in and sneak in on this? Like, why isn't he both their mentors? That's how they know each other. They both have a fucking internship with Dr. Connor at Oscorp. That's it. Like, why do you need all these extra steps?
Runtime?
And it's but it's even like you said, it's almost as if they make it seem like Parker's dad was like years ago was like, one day my kid's gonna walk through here and get bit. And become Spider-Man. It's like, dude, that's too much of a perfect vision you got going on there. It just seems so suspect.
It's like Back to the Future 2, that parlor scene with Biff, right? In Trump's 85, right? When he's like modeled after Donald Trump. And he's like, an old man came to me and said one day a wily-eyed scientist and a kid was going to come in. That's what this was, right?
Yeah, basically what it felt like.
Right?
So I guess some people give this movie props for Peter inventing the web shooters this time around, even though he gets a lot of the ideas from Oscorp.
He kind of steals the web shooters.
Yeah, he kind of steals the idea and just kind of modifies it, makes it his own thing or whatever. But then it transitions us to Spider-Man. Spider-Man, I get they were trying to make him more quippy in this one and to make him more of a wise ass when he's in the costume. He's still a dick. Like, especially it's really captured in that scene with the carjacking.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He's really an asshole in that scene.
Well, even when he's like, that's the one where he webs the guy, right?
Yeah,
like,
you're
going to talk,
bang, bang,
webs him in the face, and and then after,
it's so easy,
right, and then right after he attacks the police.
Yes, why is he attacking the police? Like, why is he bragging about how he's doing their job for them?
Right?
Oh, the boys in blue. It's like, really, dude, really?
It's it just. I didn't mind them trying to make him more quippy. I get it.
Yes, I get what they were trying to do. Yeah.
So I'll give them credit for the attempt. I'll give them credit for the web shooters. Again, I think it's half-assed. He didn't invent it, but whatever. It's interesting to see them play out. And, you do get that moment where the web shooters get destroyed in the fight. So at least it which doesn't come to much, but at least something happens with it. But I think like ultimately though, the problem is they don't get the tone of the quips.
No, they don't.
That's the thing. If they had the tone, it would be like, okay, he's just kind of a wise ass. But everything he says is so like mean or just there's such malice behind it. Like even in that scene, like, oh, boys in blue, I'm doing your job out here for you. It's like, why are you saying that? Just get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah. Dude, get out. That's it. Leave a note, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and get the hell out of there. Because if there's one thing that you wanted to knock Toby's Peter Parker for, Spider-Man, you could say, all right, he didn't really talk a lot of shit while he was fighting the villains after a while, which is fine if you're going to critique that. It didn't bother me that much. Tom Holland has that down pat.
He does.
But we're that's why I think he nails the whole character better than anyone. Mm-hmm. But they try to go for that, but he comes off as like a complete dick. And his costume is obscene. Why with the yellow eyes and this weird, I don't know if that's latex or what it's supposed to be. It's the costume looks terrible. This is like Nicholas Hammond era Spider-Man costume. That's how bad I think this is.
Wow.
You just know all he needed was that silver utility belt and the, crawling like this. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I didn't love it. I mean, I didn't hate it as much as you did.
Think about it compared to the one we just saw.
Oh no,
Raimi movies. Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I'm not going to compare this to the Raimi movies. I'm just not because then I'm just setting myself up for failure. I actually found 3 nice things to say about this movie.
I have a couple of nice things to say, not a lot, but a couple.
If I didn't divorce myself from the Raimi movies, I'd have nothing. Because again, I'm going to stick by this. This movie does not hold a candle to the wreck that was Spider-Man 3. I would still rather watch Spider-Man 3 than this. I told you guys last week. I do every now and then will watch the trilogy from start to forward. Even though I'm not a big fan of Spider-Man 3, there's enough there for me to kind of appreciate and get some enjoyment. There's really, like, on its own, there's not much there. And if I compared this to even Spider-Man 3, forget about it. I could have nothing good to say.
I just watched them back to back, and I will reinforce what I said. Spider-Man 3 is better than this movie.
It's a better movie, absolutely.
For Spider-Man, though, again, it just doesn't work. Like, his Spider-Man is not good either.
No.
Now, I'll accept seeing him in Spider-Man No Way Home, and I have a feeling they'll write it better. I'll have more confidence that it'll be written better. But just for the novelty of it, I don't want him to do that much.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care because I don't want to see this guy again. I'm going to see him in 2 weeks and possibly next month. But this Spider-Man is an asshole. I don't like him. Actually, if this series had a J. Jonah Jameson, I would be on his side.
Oh, dude, if I were in this world, I'd be J. Jonah Jameson. He's a menace. Spider-Man's a menace. Give me the Spider-Man. Like, come on, I'd be a great J. Jonah Jameson in this world.
We can get to his replacement in a minute, but I will say one of the positives I had about this movie is Gwen Stacy.
I agree.
I think she's actually good in this.
I liked her. I think
Emma Stone's good in this. I mean, she doesn't get a lot to do.
She doesn't.
Don't get me wrong. She does not get a ton to do in this movie.
But at least she's not a damsel in distress. She does play a role in executing the plan at the end.
Yeah, and she's not being a bitch to Peter, which Tim knocked MJ for in the Raimi trilogy. That at least she's actually like a nice person and wants to help Peter and seems like she has good intentions. So
and actually, I question what she sees in him because he's an asshole. Like,
yes, if I had a knocker, why are you dating this douchebag Parker?
Because she's incredibly nice. Like, and look, she's gorgeous. She's like brilliant. Like she's the whole package, and that's the point, right? And what the fuck are you doing? I get it. Andrew Garfield's a good-looking guy, man, but like this guy's an asshole. This Peter Parker will probably be an abusive husband. Just saying.
My God.
I'm not saying physically, but verbally, you know that he's going to be like, oh, like if Gwen Stacy didn't die in that next movie, and I'm not spoiling shit because I haven't saw it, but I know that happens. But if they get married, it's like, oh, Gwen Stacy, yeah, I'm going to go be Spider-Man. You put on some weight there, honey? He's saying stuff like that.
Oh, this guy would totally go date Black Cat and like ditch Gwen Stacy and everything for Felicia.
Seriously, he has some kids with Gwen Stacy, leaves them, they move to Vegas. He becomes like sleazy Spider-Man. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I guess this. I mean, Tim, do you have anything to say about Gwen Stacy before we move on?
A lot better in this one than the Spider-Man 3, and that's one thing that's definitely better.
Oh
than
yeah,
Spider-Man
yeah.
3.
If we have to
way,
compare to that one, for sure,
way better. Yeah,
light years better.
I like Emma Stone too.
This is actually
I like
Gwen
her.
Stacy.
She's always good. Yeah, this is Gwen Stacy, but I also say I could have seen Emma Stone playing a great MJ.
Absolutely, she's a good
comics
actress.
accurate MJ.
I think she would have been a way better MJ.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
As the Gwen Stacy we get, I'm cool with it. She's good.
And look, credit to the movie. It was a good choice going with Gwen Stacy because I think the one thing even fans like myself and you said when we saw the first one was that was really good, but I kind of wish that was the Gwen Stacy storyline.
Yes. Exactly.
You know, especially because it ends with the iconography of the death of Gwen Stacy, but we don't get anyone's death except the Green Goblin. So I think that was a minor ding some people had. So I give this movie credit for trying a Gwen Stacy and not trying to ram another MJ down our throat.
Well, this is one of those things I think they had to change to differentiate themselves from a movie that just came out, 5 years earlier.
Yeah.
Plus, like you said, Jason, MJ was the villain of the first trilogy, so they got to switch it up and make her a good person in this one.
Now Spider-Man's the villain of this movie.
Oh, absolutely. So I guess that takes us to the Lizard, to Kurt Connors. I know, Tim, you shared your part. You're not a fan of this. He sucks, and his plan is awful. His plan is dumb.
I'm going
to turn everyone into lizards.
I am not going to justify his plan by speaking about it here on this podcast. What I am going to speak about is the gross misunderstanding the writers have of the Lizard character. I'm not saying I'm a huge Lizard fan just because I have the action figure. I have lots of action figures, all right? But I do like the character, and what I like about the character is the tragedy. It's Jekyll and Hyde. That's exactly what it is. It's Jekyll and Hyde, except instead of becoming Jekyll, he becomes a fucking lizard. You know what I mean? But like in the comic, there's the duality. Dr. Connors is a good guy and a brilliant guy, and he's really trying to help people. And when he becomes a lizard, he's not brilliant Dr. Connors. He's like someone else who goes out and commits crimes. This is not that. This Dr. Connors becomes the lizard. They're the same person. Yeah. So like it does not resemble the character at all in the psychology of it, which is again like the Batman villains. What I love about the Spider-Man villains is the interesting psychology behind some of them. And he looks nothing like a lizard. He looks like a Goomba. I want to jump on his head.
I was going to say, hold that figure up again. Look how good that figure looks.
Look at this. Look
how menacing that lizard is. Lab coat and all.
Yeah.
And
black t-shirt.
And then
black t-shirt, purple pants.
And then you look at the one that we got. It's like, what is this? Like, why are we? He looks like a guy who stopped turning into the lizard halfway through.
He does. Yeah, that's exactly it. He was like halfway in a transformation. Something happened. He went, well, that's weird, but I guess I'll roll with it. You know,
it's like the effects ran out of money halfway through. They're like, shit, we can't make any more effects.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna leave him looking like a slimy Koopa trooper, whatever.
And the effects are not good on that lizard.
No, they look pretty bad.
I mean, I'm not saying it's like, I'm not saying it looks like I'm watching like a 90s PSA. I'm not saying it's that bad, but you can definitely look at that lizard and go, yeah, he doesn't really look like something that's in that space.
Now, this is another character that it's in the rumor mill of everyone and their mother that's supposed to return from No Way Home. Just make him look totally different. If you're going to bring him back, just make him look completely different. And I don't care. I'm fine with it. Fine. I don't care that continuity, schmontinuity for that one. I don't really care.
Here's the thing. You want continuity? Forget this lizard. Get the actor who played Dr. Connors from the Raimi trilogy and give me a real lizard with that guy. Because I think that guy would have been he was a great Kurt Connors, and I was looking forward because I was convinced we were getting him as the lizard at some point.
Yeah, me too.
Or just bring in a decent lizard and forget Dr. Connors altogether. Just give us a good looking lizard.
I'll take that.
Because he is a badass looking character in the comics too.
He is. And Torment at the beginning of the McFarlane run of just the title Spider-Man, that is, I don't know if you either one of you
I've read that.
The Torment is awesome.
That's real. That's where my love of the lizard comes
The whole
from.
thumping and everything like that, and like Doom.
Yeah.
Doom. Like it's really good. Same if you haven't read that, you get a chance, read the Torment. I think it's like a 8 to 10 part thing. They have it in like a graphic novel form for like a while.
I'll look for it on Amazon.
It's really good. I would highly recommend that to check that out. So I guess another main character in the movie before we get to like some of the less of some more details that just drove me nuts was Captain Stacy, who pretty much is a replacement for J. Jonah Jameson. Yeah. Because we have to differentiate ourselves from the Raimi trilogy. I don't think Dennis Leary is bad. I think it's just written poorly. Yeah. Like Dennis Leary's never bad.
No.
I know you guys love Dennis Leary, so he's fine, but
I love Dennis Leary. I love watching Dennis Leary act. I've got nothing against him. I liked watching him in this movie, but as you said, it's bad. It's poorly written. Like, I don't ding any of the actors. As I said, even Andrew Garfield, I ding no actor in this movie for their performance because you can only work with what you have, and there was not much here. And like all that he does as Gwen Stacy's dad and the captain is like, I want to get that Spider-Man, which is right. That's a J. Jonah Jameson thing.
He calls him a menace at one point.
He does call him a
menace. He's like, oh, I'm a menace. I was like, just get a cigar or something like that to cut your hair. You might as well just go all in.
Exactly.
Imagine Dennis Leary playing J. Jonah Jameson.
That would be awesome, by the way. Like, no J.K. Simmons, but that would still be awesome.
He should just drop curse and stuff like that, and they bleep him out instead.
I would love it. But yeah, and his whole thing, like, he has this thing, like, right after the bridge, right? The one and only thing Spider-Man does that is super heroic, in my opinion, and I actually did like this scene. This is one of the things I liked, where he goes down to save the kid who's stuck in the car that's hanging there, right? When he makes the decision not to follow the lizard. He takes his mask off, see him just like you, put the mask on, it gives you strength. I liked that scene.
No, that was fun.
And then he saves him, and then you smash cut to Captain Stacy going, there's no such thing as a lizard. Get me Spider-Man. It's like,
yes.
What is the arrest warrant for? Saving a boy's life?
That's why I felt like Norman Osborn there. Finish it!
Right.
Finish it! Dave, get me pictures of Spider-Man!
I mean, it's ridiculous.
And it would have been great to be yelled at, and the cops around them are like, pictures?
Yeah.
What the hell is he talking about? Yeah, that's what I just kind of got that vibe from him for most of the movie. But it also ties in some more dickhead Parker shit, by the way. He makes a promise to him at the end when he dies.
Oh God, that's the worst.
That he'll stay away from Gwen Stacy, and we know he doesn't. So like, you're really a dick.
Well, no, but it's
again,
even
Parker.
It's not even that we know he doesn't because we know the next movie is coming. The movie ends with him coming in late to class, which apparently has always happened, but I don't remember this being foreshadowed in the movie.
Nope.
And she goes, oh, you're the teacher. You're always late, Parker. And he goes, I promise it won't happen again. And she goes, don't make promises you can't keep. And he nuzzles close to Gwen Stacy's ear, and he goes, those are the best kind. And it's like, you're not even gonna keep the goddamn promise you made to her dead father who's not cold in the grave yet, who died saving your life, you piece of shit.
Yeah, he's bad, man. He's like, really bad.
And again, it's like it's taking the beats from the Raimi movie. All right, guys, we got to end with a funeral. But instead of it being someone Spider-Man knows it's Gwen Stacy. And what if Spider-Man, because he's an asshole, doesn't go to Gwen Stacy's father's funeral, but he still breaks up with her when she comes to see why he didn't go? You know, like in the Raimi movie, he won't go after MJ to protect her. Huh? It's the same. We're hitting the beats, but edgier. It's so stupid.
It's not
good. Yeah, it's like they purposely like, well, listen, he decided at the end of the Raimi ones he can't be with MJ because it puts her in danger. In this one, fuck that. We're gonna put her in danger constantly by breaking a fucking promise to Dennis Leary. We're gonna put her in nothing but imminent danger, which comes in the second one, as we all know.
And she goes and meets her dad quickly after, from what I understand.
So one of the most insane, well, actually, two last characters to hit on before we go into any kind of details, because there is some really stupid shit that happens in this movie. We talked about Aunt May, who's totally useless in this movie. I didn't hate Uncle Ben. Maybe it's because I just like Martin Sheen or something like that. He was given a decent amount to do. He kind of lets Peter have it a couple of times, and I agree with him about it.
I think my whole thing with this Uncle Ben is I have nothing against Charlie Sheen. No, I don't like Charlie Sheen. I have nothing against Martin Sheen. And as I said, I think he's fine in this role. But it just the things that happen don't make sense to me, like his murder and the line of it. I mean, I like that he's giving Peter shit. He was an asshole.
Yeah.
And I guess too, I was resentful that I had to sit and watch this entire origin story where Ben gets killed again. I had just seen it less than a decade ago. Like, same thing with Batman, man. I don't need to see Martha Wayne.
We've seen the pearls hit the floor many times.
Exactly. I don't need to see the pearls hit the floor in every goddamn iteration of a Batman movie. At some point, you could just go, you know what? They get it. And we'll get there when we get to Homecoming. But that was the decision they made that I think was the smartest. They went, guys, they're fans. They fucking know what's going on with Peter Parker and his powers. Let's just give them a movie.
Exactly.
Now I'm picturing, instead of the tagline being, with great power comes great responsibility, is this one? It's don't be a dick, Peter.
Don't be a dick. Peter, buy the eggs. Buy the fucking eggs, Peter.
Buy the fucking eggs, come home, and stop being a dick. Imagine him giving that speech. My uncle on his dying breath told me something very important. What was that? Don't be a dick, Peter.
Yeah, I can see Martin Sheen. I can see Martin Sheen doing that though. I guess one of the main huge details of Spider-Man lore that they really, really fucked up, in my opinion, in this movie is Norman Osborn. What we get in this movie is that there's mention of him here and there because of Oscorp, and that he's dying when the movie begins. And there's that weird dude that pops in and out of the movie like 2 or 3 times who just keeps on like nudging Kurt Connors like, hey, you got it? Is it ready? He's dying. He's dying. Just in case you didn't know, he's dying. He is dying. You got it? You got any of that good shit? No? All right, I'm out. That's it. I'm running away from the lizard. And that's him in this whole movie.
That's it.
Dude, you sidelined Norman Osborn in this series. Really. Spider-Man, I will say it, his greatest foe is usually between Green Goblin and Doc Ock.
Yes.
Contrary to popular belief, it's not Venom.
Nope.
It's one of those two. Venom's more like right below them. Okay? Really? Norman Osborn gets just shoved to the side? That was fucking idiotic.
Yeah. And don't forget, he's turning into a real goblin.
Oh, no. Remember, what we've seen, I don't want to spoil it for Jason.
Oh, does that happen in the second movie? Does he turn into a real goblin?
No. We get to see Norman Osborn in the second one, but I will leave it at that. We do see Norman Osborn in the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
That detail. No, don't do it. That drove me completely nuts. By the way, the Stan Lee cameo in this movie sucks. God rest Stan Lee. I love Stan Lee.
Couldn't even tell you what it was.
That's my point. It's completely unforgettable.
He was the librarian while the Lizard and Peter Parker are having a fight in the library.
Oh, the fight in the library. Okay.
And it could have been. I thought it could have been funny, but I thought it was just way too over the top. Like,
it was dumb.
He doesn't notice a fucking table is thrown at his head and almost hits him. Like, he just doesn't notice that.
Oh, actually, he had the headphones on, right? Something like that.
Yeah, because he's listening to music and he's like shuffling the books and stuff. But it's like they're literally destroying everything behind you. I don't care how loud your music is, you hear it.
Yeah, and one of the other thing I guess I left that. By the way, the crane thing at the end. When Spider-Man is going and he's injured and he's going to go to the final battle, and then the guy whose kid he saved earlier is like, I don't know if you want to say an iron worker, steel worker, whatever the hell he is. He tells all his crane guys, yeah, let's line him up, let's help out Spider-Man so he can kind of swing to the top of Oscorp faster. Come on.
Look,
what is this?
Stupid.
What is this?
It's stupid, but it's one of the things I went, all right, that's one of the nicer moments in the movie. And here's why. Because at least something happened earlier on in the movie, and then it paid off.
I will concede to that. That's fine. I'm just like, dude, really? We don't need this. Just give me Spider-Man swinging from random shit, and that's it. I don't.
And again, though, like you said, it hits the beats of the Raimi movie. What scene does that resemble from the Raimi movie?
Scene on the bridge. You mess with us. You mess with all of us. You mess with all of us. Of course.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's like they sat down, watched the Raimi movie, and went, "We need that, but we're going to change it. We need that, we're going to change it. We need that, we're going to change it."
Oh, we need a bridge, but let's not have it at the end because we're better than this Raimi crap. Let's have it in the middle.
Yeah, it sucks. What else was there? Oh, there's a line he actually says in the middle of fighting the lizard. Someone's been a bad lizard.
Oh God,
that's your quip. That's what that's your smart ass thing that you wanted to get in there. You had to get that. I paused it and I turned to Angie. I'm like, did I just hear that? That's what he said. She's like,
they should have cut Uncle Ben saying, "You're a dick."
Don't be a dick, Peter.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
You got bad quips, dick. That's the next line.
That's all my notes, man. But like this,
you have missed
the post-credit scene. Yes, the post-credit scene.
We'll get to that, but I want to bring up my most inexplicable what the fuck moment of this movie. I'm Peter Parker. I've decided I'm not a hero. I'm going to use my talents to go and lure the lizard so I can get pictures of him and sell it. And I'm going to leave my camera there with my fucking full name and address on it.
Yes, because that's what everyone does with their camera.
Why? Like, here's the thing. Even if I had that on my camera, the moment I went, putting on the spider mask, I'm taking this off if I'm taking it with me. Because I'm also, you know what I'm also not doing? Not taking my goddamn, state ID when I'm swinging around as Spider-Man. Because I don't want anyone knowing it's me.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, overall, it's bad. It's just there's nothing here that really hardly works. I would say that I would in No Way Home, instead of having Andrew Garfield come back, I would much rather have Emma Stone come back as Spider-Gwen.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And have that, and that's where we get into the live action Spider-Verse. I would much rather that happen.
If you're gonna mine something from this disaster, give us Gwen Stacy. I like her, that actor. I like a lot of it. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, we're probably not getting that. So
no.
Whatever.
It'd be great if they said something about Gwen Stacy, and Tom Holland turns and goes, "Who the fuck is Gwen Stacy?
Yeah,
what the hell are you talking about?"
Wait, that girl that liked Eddie Brock? What?
Then he started fighting, and Tom Holland just sitting there. I don't know who the hell MJ. I have no idea who Gwen Stacy is. Please don't yell at me. I have no idea.
I don't know who this is at all. We've moved past it. All right, so I guess that pretty much kind of wraps it up for us this week. So next week our movie will be The Eternals.
Oh, thankfully.
We will be taking a break from our live action Spider-Verse view, but then a week after that we'll be back with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it'll be the first time Jason has seen the movie. So this will be real interesting to see what the hell he thinks of this crap. Tim, let us know. I know you've seen the movie. You got time if you want to catch up. Tim and I will be seeing The Eternals tomorrow night.
Nice. I will try to watch that stupid movie. I'll try to sit through it, I should say.
Yes.
Just I'll try to hit the most important beats just so we can talk about it. But dude, Jason, I feel for you.
I don't want to watch this movie, guys.
I feel for you having to watch this movie. I really do.
I did not want to watch Venom, and then I watched Venom, and I went, "All right, wasn't as bad as I thought it was."
This is like the equivalent of you going in for brain surgery. I'm kind of scared for you.
Yeah, no, this is.
I hope you pull out of it okay.
Thank you. I hope so too, because I might slip into a vegetative state and never return.
We'll come visit you in the hospital and stuff.
Please,
you're all right.
and then I'll lay there, and then I'll open my eyes, grab your hands, and go, "Avenge me!"
No, I'll have that moment where I'll whisper in your ear, "Tom Holland is Spider-Man. Tom Holland is," and you'll miraculously wake up and go, "You're right. You're right.
It was all but a dream."
All right, so thanks for joining this week. We super appreciate it, Tim. Thanks for dropping by and chatting some Spider-Man with us and talking about some Baywatch Nights and Morbius, actually. So we did a lot of it. So pretty much if you want to go ahead and you liked what you heard tonight, you can subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. If you're watching us on Facebook, you can go ahead and join the Pop Culture Pros group. Join our group, Granny's Peach Tea. If you're watching us on YouTube, click subscribe. Subscribe to it. You can check us out. You can Twitter. Go ahead, follow us. Check out all the shows that are there. And Instagram. Some of the shows you'll see Tim on. The Just Too Sweet show, the wrestling show that's usually on every week. Shooting a Sith will be on at some point. We have it.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
A week from this Tuesday, we'll be number 1.
Weeks.
We're going for it. I'm going for it. Full out.
2 weeks. Oh, sorry. You walked right into that one.
I know.
So we got that, and then dude, Book of Boba Fett looks pretty badass as we expected.
And of course, you're all welcome to come on for that.
Yeah. I definitely like to pop on for that because I'll be watching that probably as it goes. Like I'm not going to do what I usually do and wait till the end. I'll watch it along with you guys so I can talk about it.
I'll get up at 3:00 in the morning when it launches. That's what I'll be doing.
Jeez, considering I get up at work for 6:30, that's not going to happen.
Oh no, I get up at. I watched it at 3, went to bed, and got back up at 6 to go to work.
I don't know how you do it.
I can only think of 1 or 2 times when I did that, and I was in WandaVision somehow.
Well, I probably won't do it right in the beginning because I don't know what's coming yet.
Yeah.
But like with Mandalorian, it was I think Ahsoka's coming tonight. I think Boba. I was like, well, now I have to get up at 3:00 and watch the goddamn thing. So I know before everybody else does.
So you can go ahead and also if you're into the New York Giants, you can check out the We Stomp You Out show, which Tim is there, and Unsportsmanlike Conduct, which they talk about football all around, fantasy football, make picks every week and stuff like that. So you got that. If you like Eric, where's A to Z anyway? Where's is on hiatus?
Eric is learning how to be a farmer, and that's
What?
not a joke. That's not a joke.
I'm not surprised.
For the show or for himself?
In real life, him and his girlfriend bought this big farm store thing, and you have to go learn, literally take classes on how to do certain. I mean, if it works, it's good for him. It's a nice little moneymaker, and but he have to go to the classes, and that's why Tuesdays we're not doing Just As Sweet on Tuesdays for a month.
Okay.
So either we're going to switch nights or we'll do something else, or that's why Shooting the Sith will start next Tuesday. I'll take over the Just Too Sweet spot, but he'll be back. He'll be back as soon as those classes are over.
Nice. So that's all the stuff we got rolling on Pop Culture Pros right now. Jader and Kyle will be they're MIA right now, but we'll see.
They'll be back. They'll be back too.
They'll be back. So
they'll be back. They always come back.
They are not Uncle Ben. They are not Martha and Thomas Wayne. Yeah. So it's okay.
Let's just say I've never seen either of them clutch their pearls. Okay,
this is true. We'll see you next week, and we'll be talking about the Eternals. We'll be talking about Doom Patrol, Supergirl series finale.
It's gonna be big.
So we got that. We got a pretty.
I'll watch that one just because it's the last one.
You should.
That's it.
You should.
Yeah, just go ahead, check it out. You'll see where they wrap things up or not, or
you'll see the end? Question mark.
Yes, you'll see the end. So, all right, everyone, stay safe. Take it easy. Peace.
Later.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick, Peter.